Now I'm playing with power.
Great graphics.
He's traveled across time and space. Finally, he's here. The ultimate Terminator. He looks mean. He sounds mean.
Fuck you, asshole.
And with the awesome hand blaster, he's a real mean machine. The ultimate Terminator for the ultimate Terminator adventure.
Chill out, dickwad.
You close. Give them to me.
Somebody said alien. She thought they said illegal alien and signed up.
We're the Space Marines, Drake. Ripley.
I don't know which species is worse. You don't see them fucking each other over for a goddamn percentage.
Apone.
You secure that shit, Hudson.
Bishop. And I'm Hicks.
He's Hicks.
Space Marine figures and alien figures, each sold separately.
In the future, you have to defrost a cop to put a criminal on ice.
Let's go blow this guy.
Sylvester Stallone is John Spartan, the Demolition Man.
You shit
The toughest cop in the 21st century.
This is the Rat Burger.
Wesley Snipes is cold-blooded Simon Phoenix.
Hands up!
But Demolition Man always keeps his cool.
Why didn't you just shove a leash up my ass?
It's the ultimate confrontation as power-armed Terminator faces certain death, only to return stronger and more powerful as Techno-Punch Terminator.
I need a vacation.
Terminator 2.
Ripley's got the power loader.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Did you call moi a dipshit?
It's a boy!
Wish I could have met my real dad.
Yo, Hicks! One for dinner, no reservation!
It's the Flying Queen alien and her gruesome gorillas. Send in the ultimate Space Marine, ATAX.
Who?
In his big, bad bug suit.
I'm back. Got to find John Connor.
But evil T-1000 gets to him first.
Holy shit.
Terminator's heavy metal cycle zeroes in and fires. But T-1000 stands to get even.
You're next, John Connor.
Oh shit.
Fuck you, lady!
Good answer.
Grim, you little meatball.
You are what you eat.
What's ISOM's superpower?
What are ISOM's superpowers?
Can he fly?
There's artwork of him out there, like, doing some flying.
Let's talk warehouses and warehouses-related things.
Is that the only thing you're allowed to watch in the warehouse? Is Eric July's own videos?
Can you thank Eric July for the great comic? Thanks for working on the International School of Ministry.
International School of Ministry.
He's a superhero. He puts himself in danger. We need to know what kind of super abilities he has.
Okay, so how much does the Blaze pay you? You got your picture on the wall. You must do something for him.
Did Miles, like, come in his life or something? What happened?
And your shipping department needs to know you need smaller mailers or to wrap them properly because this book came damaged.
Y'all really bought that shit butt-ass comic book. I'm crying.
And what do you mean by new legacy character? If they're a legacy character, like, it wouldn't be new.
What?
If she has a constant whirlwind that surrounds her, how could you make out the icicles that seem to grow from her pores?
Okay, what's your plot? Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. What do you mean, like going into the future for ISOM 1, 2, and 3?
What do you mean new?
I'm retarded?
I don't understand it.
Do you want to see something super cool that only some people ever see in their lifetimes?
No.
Said, Eric, what are the plans for the Rippaverse when Daddy Glenn shuts the money hose off because of diminishing returns?
Give me the damn money, Glenn. Give me the damn money, Glenn.
So how much does Glenn Beck pay you?
Glenn Beck doesn't pay me. Glenn Beck doesn't own Blaze anymore. He hasn't owned it for
so
a
how
long
much?
time.
Okay, so how much does the Blaze pay you?
Blaze doesn't pay me that much. I'm only a video contributor. I only show up every once or twice at the most a week.
I mean, you got your picture. You got your picture on the wall. You must do something for him.
We need the Glenn bucks.
Well, yeah, give us the Glenn bucks,
Come on.
man. Damn, where is it at?
The other one, No Organized Chaos. Actual fandom.
You should delete your channel. The female version of Dick Grayson is Pussy Grey Daughter.
He's not alive, but he's right.
But really, if you want to do any kind of karmic justice back in the fucking world for the damage that you're causing with this kind of shit, you should just delete your fucking channel. Okay? Drink it in. Yeah. Absorb it. Let it wash over you. Look, here's the thing.
It's the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. It's clobbering time.
I vaguely know who actual fandom is.
Hey, motherfuckers.
The journey that we choose as fans. Everything's just not always going to be great. And when it's great, you got to celebrate the hell out of it. But when it's not, you just move on to some other shit. It's like the easiest thing in the world.
Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go.
Any of you incels, QAnon, 4chan, Snyder Cut motherfuckers want to get on a line now? Anybody?
Anybody? Didn't think so.
Newsflash, asshole!
Yep. That's right. Newsflash, assholes. And I'm sure some of you are very kind, very nice people, not assholes at all. Hello, my name is Dane. This is Actual Fandom. This is Live AF. It happens, generally every Friday. But what doesn't happen on Fridays, typically, is I have a stream scheduled that the time to start that stream then, passes and the stream doesn't start. And then eventually that stream is just canceled with no word. That did happen today. I don't like that, that was, that's not how I prefer to do things. I don't like to leave you guys hanging. I don't like to cancel streams. But I definitely don't like to, not let you guys know what's going on. However, I had more important things come up. So there you go. I mean, my partner had some stuff going on and needed me. And, yep, at the end of the day, YouTube doesn't bang me. No, that's a really gross simplification of the issue. But like, yeah, I mean, whenever it comes to my partner needing me to the degree that she did versus one of two streams that I was planning to do today, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm good. All right. I did see some conversation happening that I wanted to kind of have a first of all, I feel like maybe this was meant to be a compliment. I don't know, but it doesn't, I don't like it. I don't think that I have created that environment. I hope not. I hope I've not created an environment where any criticism of Marvel is just assumed to be BS culture war. That's not what I want. That's not a good thing. I'd like to think that I've created an environment where people can distinguish between criticism of Marvel or anything, Marvel, whatever it is. You can distinguish between criticism that's like actually, constructive and good faith and not agenda-driven criticism, right? Versus, the opposite of those. That's what I hope I've done. But yeah, so I definitely feel like this is a fail on my part if that's the kind of environment I've created. So, and this is the rest of this is about your comments as well, Blood Video Company. So, I saw this conversation happening, and I thought about commenting, but I was like, I'm gonna wait. So you're appealing to the '90s a lot, and the franchiseification of things. I'm curious who do you blame for that? Is what I want to know. Because I mean, this stuff is obvious. Like this, you can't deny that is a thing that is happening. But like, where are you pointing the finger? You're blaming Chuds for the for this previous thing or the conversation now that I'm talking about? Because the conversation between you and this Bob of the oldie ways. Because I definitely think that Bob is more on point here, and then I also think there's still some more context to consider. All right, so just to kind of give you anybody that wasn't reading chat, so basically, Blood Video Company seems to be saying that it's a superhero movie franchise stuff that's basically, there's no more just regular comedies in the top 10 anymore and stuff like that. And like these things are true. Bob of the Old Ways is saying, has a lot more to do with distribution models, which is definitely true. There are plenty of films being made that are comedies. The way people consume media has changed and is still changing right now, and probably maybe will for the foreseeable future, because we've got technology that is it's making the previous thing obsolete at a much faster rate. So and all of that is driven by capitalism. And then just like the nature of technology, which is that new technology makes new technology easier. I see. No, I didn't think you were like saying anything that bad about my channel overall, man. I wasn't thinking, but I just like, I didn't want to get any, I don't know, it's been a weird day. So the franchise issue is that audiences simply respond better to IP that they recognize. That's, You know, and yeah, Marvel sure has played a role in creating that environment, but like whatever the thing was, if it wasn't Marvel, would have done that. You know what I mean? Like you can look at the maybe I can find Bob and somebody, if you can find like a timeline showing when sequels became, like how, you know, much more prominent sequels became. Because I know there was a point in film history whenever sequels were basically unheard of, and then, you know, now we're where we are. There has to be a timeline somewhere that shows like the kind of I guess proliferation of sequels. No, man, you're good. You're good. I'm not trying to like shit on you or anything. I'm just, you know, trying to add a little context here. So like, as far as the superhero stuff, for example, like Bob was saying, Westerns had their day. Westerns were everything for a while, and they basically saturated the market with Westerns. Everything was a Western. And then they kind of hit a wall. And people have been waiting for that to happen with superheroes for a while now. And I think that's kind of foolish. Like, definitely the predominance of superhero movies, traditional superhero stories is going to probably go away. But like superheroes in general and just comic book based stuff, like it can be so much more than a Western. Like Western is a very genre specific thing. Whereas like superhero comics, you know, as a source material, think about The Boys versus, you know, the Avengers, or I guess Invincible versus I don't know, The Punisher or something like that. You know, like there's very different things. The story elements are vastly different. You know, that you essentially have a hero, but like it doesn't have to be a hero that you follow, you know. Yeah, anyway, the idea of that superhero movies are gonna go the same exact route as Westerns is only said by somebody who doesn't know the fucking broad range of types of stories that a superhero story or comic book in general can be. Yeah. Was it Blazing Saddles? Did it really do that? I guess I need to look into the history of that movie because I mean it's kind of relevant for a few reasons. But like superhero movies isn't a genre though, right? Like the let's see. I mean, just within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you've got different genres. You know what I mean? Almost like Infinity War and Endgame are almost kind of different genres for the most part. You know, I mean, like Endgame kind of becomes more of similar genre to Infinity War, you know, in the last hour or so. But like, other than that, kind of different types of movie, right? A genre isn't the types of characters and the, you know, it's not just having superheroes in it. Doesn't mean it's going to be a superhero genre and that's it. You look at so like Ant-Man. It's a heist movie. That's the genre with some superhero element. Yeah, modular. Exactly. That's a good point. Good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that the Blazing Saddles thing is just kind of stupid for a lot of reasons. A lot of people have talked about this already before. No point in kind of going over it again, really. But like, especially because I haven't prepared thoughts. But it was a movie that was for its place in time. Like, who was it that was talking about this? Shit. Somebody had a video I was watching about this not long ago. And I can't fucking remember who it was, but they had good takes, like saying that essentially it came about because, like, you know, the way that people were throwing the N-word around in Blazing Saddles, you know, just like no big deal. people did that more often back in the day in real life whenever Blazing Saddles came along. And it kind of like held a mirror up to that society that in that specific moment. And, you know, now I'm not exclusively because of, but it has to be a role. It played a role for sure, right? That people recognize it's not generally something you want to go around saying if you're not of the right melanin. Yes, that is the one. I think so. That might be, yeah, it probably was Jose, because I was trying to picture somebody's face, and I'm like, why can't I picture who was talking? Because Jose doesn't show his face. Yeah. Okay, so we got a news flash, guys. It's a big one. It's a big one. Look at this. Well, we're going to start off with something a little bit smaller, actually. Warning for anyone who is a fan of, you know, aging, leathery, just washed up, but somehow still getting news. Leathery, I think I said leathery, bald at the top, but still rocking the fucking, you know, the big mustache. You know, warning for fans of those types of guys who were wrestlers. So Hulk Hogan, he's posing with some odd folks. Uh-oh. Oh, no. I mean, okay. So, on the one hand, we know all the stuff about Hulk Hogan's views on race that we know. Okay. Whoop. I like that comment. That's a good one. We know all the things we know previously about him. Now let's try to pretend like we don't. Maybe he didn't see this. Maybe he's not looking at people's tattoos. I mean, you know, he probably sees a lot. But I mean, both things can be true. He is a fucking shitty person and a racist and a gross motherfucker who let a lot of people down, myself included. And he might not have known that he was taking a picture with a guy with fucking, you know, like both things could be true. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of talk about that for a moment because it's like I hate whenever he pops up because it reminds me that I used to be a fan. You know? I don't know. His initials seem to be SS though. Maybe it's Samuelson or something like that. I'm not sure. He seems to be a Christian based on his cross, but he's got his initials there. That's cool. That's cool. That is a straight up white supremacist tattoo, my man. That is fucking, who cares who he is, right? Like, he's a fucking piece of shit. Sam Cedar. Oh no, what a nightmare. Yeah, that's a bad one. Not a good look, Hulk. Hulkamania really is fucking running wild lately, dude. Like, it is just way wilder than we ever could have, you know. No, nothing. He does not want anybody to be like, is that racist or not? You know, he wants to all go, oh, you're just a huge scumbag. Gotcha. And it's kind of like he's daring people because you look at his fucking arms, his biceps and shit. He probably wants to start fights, you know. I mean, almost certainly would want to start a fight with anybody. And so, yeah, he's almost like daring you to be like, dude, you're a fucking Nazi piece of shit, so that he could then fight you. But fight me, beat me up, all he wants to, you know, because I can't take him. But what I can say is his dick's probably that fucking big. Stone cold. Well, he's certainly stunning. So. I mean, okay. Let's look at it from the point of view of Hulk Hogan had no idea that this guy had this tattoo. I don't think Hulk Hogan's like a fucking Nazi, by the way. Like, he's a fucking guy from the the old school who like has a lot of really fucking gross and stupid views on race, right? I don't think he's a Nazi. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that'll come out someday and he is. But so look at it from the point of view of like, let's imagine this guy went to somebody else to go sign, because that's what this is like a photos of opportunity and signing and stuff or whatever. This guy's a piece of shit, not just for being a Nazi, but then like wearing fucking tank tops and then going and posing with celebrities, man. Like, fuck Hulk Hogan, like who cares? And of course it would be one of his fans that's but like, what if it was just, I don't know, Taylor Swift or something? No, muscles don't win fights, but like, I got bad knees and shit, right now I think I'm developing some sciatica, maybe something like that. So, I wouldn't bet on me, to be honest. But yeah, guys, don't get Nazi tattoos and then go fucking wear tank tops and take pictures with celebrities. It's just not good. Oh God, I didn't even think about that. Was he big? Was he big with the black folks, wrestling fans? I mean, I guess he was big with everybody, right? Like, it's not like he was exclusively, but yeah. Oh man. And he's definitely the kind of guy, Hulk Hogan, who doesn't think of himself as racist because he wrestles black dudes, or used to, all the time. It's like no big deal. He was probably buddies with them and stuff. Like, but yeah, that doesn't mean that you are just immune from having some shitty views. Oh no. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, color notwithstanding, you were a fucking Hulk Hogan fan if you were from a certain era, right? A certain couple of generations, really. I mean, my dad was a big Hogan fan. I was a Hogan fan. I'm sure there were people that were like a generation younger than me that were Hogan fans. I got to admit, then we're moving off from fucking Hulk Hogan anymore, but like, I didn't know until recently, like when watching because holy shit, man, I love the show Dark Side of the Ring. I don't watch wrestling. I don't care what goes on with it anymore. But I love Dark Side of the Ring, and I love the old stories of the old shit that used to happen. Just because, like, oh God, it's so fucking dramatic, and like just most of it was caused by Vince McMahon being a fucking huge piece of shit. But anyway, I always wondered what the connection was like with Hulk, like Marvel's Hulk. And I used to wonder if there was ever any problem with that Hulk Hogan was called that. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, I found out there was a whole issue about that. And that technically, Marvel did sue him. He was sued by Marvel, and it was like several protracted years of, kind of back and forth about it. And then ultimately they kind of just like let him keep it. I think he might have had to pay some amount of money, but they let him use the name because they I guess they thought that it was confusing or whatever, because it's both in entertainment purposes, right? And yeah, when I was a little kid, when I first heard of Hulk Hogan, I wanted him to be green, and he wasn't. I mean, to be fair, that's not being fair. That's actually being kind of cynical. To be fair would be to say that it makes sense for them to think that, that somebody could take the name of a character. They wanted to set a precedent, because what if somebody decided to be like, I'm Captain America Jones, the wrestler, or I'm Wolverine, whatever. Like, they needed to set a precedent and show that, like, you can't just do that without some kind of acknowledgement or repercussions or whatever. And ultimately Marvel did, kind of like, they came to a friendly agreement or whatever. But like, yeah, that's actually, don't say to be fair if you're actually going to be cynical and like unfair and assume the worst, right? Like, that's not cool. Fuck yeah. I mean, Lou Ferrigno is kind of a dick, I'll tell you that. I met him. So me and my friends went to the first Comic-Con that I ever went to. We were excited to meet Lou Ferrigno because he's at all of them. Every single one, everywhere he's there. Lou Ferrigno is there. And he's charging $20 a pop for photos. And he made sure that we each paid him because we wanted to get all of us, me and my, like, it's like 4 of us, me and my brother and a couple friends, all of us in the same picture with Lou Ferrigno. He made sure that we all paid that $20 each. Like we went in, went up to the table all excited and shit. And by the time we left with our photo, we're just like, it felt weird, man. Like he was kind of a dick about it, you know, and he wanted to make sure, like, I'm not going to do an impression of him. I was about to, and I'm fucking thankfully I stopped myself. Jesus Christ. But, you know, not worth it. Dude just made $80 for fucking taking a photo. But I'm sure he's a nice guy otherwise. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, no, we knew that he was charging for fucking, you know, they generally do. A lot of them do. I gladly paid, like, I think it was $40 for a photo with Weird Al Yankovic. Like, proudly, gladly fucking handed that money over. But, you know. Yeah, I don't know about that. I didn't know it. Anyway, let's talk about some news. Let's talk about the thing on the thumbnail, right? They're liars. They know they're liars. They don't care that they're liars. They know that we know that they're liars. They're just going to continue lying, and they're going to continue to, you know, I said it on a recent Fabcast maybe, that, like, just expect shit to get so fucking gross and like objectively dishonest and just like probably some of the worst shit you're ever going to hear a human being say, you know, and not just a human being, but it's going to be echoed by millions of human beings. Expect that shit between now and November. It's going to happen. And they're doing it right now. And I don't know if all of you have thought about all of the, you know, the kind of ramifications of this stuff, but we're going to be talking about it on Sunday for sure. Unless, Morgan, you want to come on and talk about it tonight? That would, I guess we could save some space for Sunday for other things. It's up to you. Didn't one of the Chuds use AI? I don't know what that means. I mean, sure, I'm probably a lot of them, yeah. Do you mean the Colin Kaepernick thing? We're going to get to that. Just kind of figuring out what's going on here with Morgan the Mysterious. Yeah, you know, while it's still hot, let's talk a little bit about, I forget her name. Amon? I don't know how. I'm white. I don't know anything. Shad? Yeah, a bunch of Chuds use that shit. Because they you know, like we're going to talk about in a little bit, some people think that art, being talented with art or having a skill like that, because a lot of it is skill, not just talent, that, yeah, maybe they haven't worked for it. Maybe they don't know anything about the whatever craft or medium. Maybe they really have not shown any interest in this specific thing in their lives before, but God damn it, it's unfair that they can't do the thing too. Yeah. Let me just fire off this link. Actually, real quick, here is a thing. Be back in just like a minute and a half, and I'll have Morgan with me. I mean, not literally with me, but we'll be here.
Steve Rogers is indeed Captain America, and Miles Morales is Miles Morales. This statement does not say that Sam Wilson isn't a Captain America. It doesn't say John Walker isn't a Captain America, or Isaiah Bradley, who was retconned as the first Captain America, isn't a Captain America. It doesn't say that Bucky Barnes isn't a Captain America. It just says Steve Rogers is Captain America, and the same goes with Miles Morales. He is indeed, again, Miles Morales. He's also a Spider-Man.
I mean, it's him admitting what he's already admitted, but like much more boldly than he has before.
Wow.
This month, I've made $1,000 on Twitter. $1,000. I'm making $1,000 off of Miles Morales tweets. Shit I would do for free. That, for one, is America. That is capitalism. It's fucking hilarious. And you can do it too. You can do it too. You can do Miles Morales tweets because they're like engagement gold. They're engagement crack. I used to sell toxic poison to kids to feed my habit and make money, and I went to jail. Now I sell toxic poison to kids to feed my habit and make money on YouTube.
Look at those nice 3D fucking text logos there.
How do you do, fellow kids?
How do you do, fellow kids? All right. Hey, Morgan.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. It's going.
It's going. That's good.
Yeah.
The Olympics. Oh boy.
Yeah, there's so like, I guess if we get one aspect of the Olympics forced adversity out tonight, then we can just do the other one. Or at least the other one that I'm aware of so far, on Sunday, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, it boils down to one thing for both of these non-traversies, because they are, at the end of the day, non-traversies. They're nothing. For those who don't know, the Olympic opening ceremony included a performance in the style of a Greek feast of Dionysus that got all the Christians upsetty spaghetti because they thought it kind of looked like the Da Vinci's Last Supper. And if you squint hard enough and are, I don't know, brain damaged. Yeah.
And then Gojira played. They're not even like a super heavy band, you know what I mean? Like they're not like,
not really.
I mean, they're kind of metal for sure, but like, I mean, I don't know.
I know they were upset because there was a depiction of like someone dressed as Marie Antoinette holding her head, and I'm like, yeah, welcome to France, where they
demonic. They said it's demonic.
That's just France. Like that's a thing that happened in France.
But I actually have a screen recording of going through one of those posts that were saying that stuff, just to kind of get a taste of this shit.
Yeah, reject modernity, embrace tradition, make the Olympics gayer.
You know, probably at home watching the French Olympics, thinking, "What the actual fuck is this?" Nope. I mean, some people were, I guess. It's just another conspiracy playing out in front of your very eyes. The one where we tell you the world is run by satanic globalists who control everything. Satanic globalists, that's you know, you don't have to use so many letters. You could just say Jews, guys.
There's a 3-letter word for what you mean. You could save a lot of space on Twitter.
But wait a second, hold on. Jews don't believe in Satan. So like, no, never mind. Don't start questioning it. Don't
question it.
These people do very strange and sick things and openly worship Satan, or a brand of. Yeah, his name is Satan. He's a Walmart brand Satan.
Well, you've got Satan, and you've got Satan Code Red, and you have like the sour grape flavored Satan, and then Baja Blast Satan, only available at Taco Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the brands of Satan, right?
Yep. That's it. What was it? Oreo, and then there was what was the other one? There used to be a cookie that competed with Oreo.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
I don't know either.
But like, just and then this is one thing because you're gonna have grifters grifting on Twitter, but then the comments. Oh no.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I love this one. I've seen this one around because one, Obama's fucking retired. That guy has like speaking deal money, and also like they think America is running the show here. Do they not know how the IOC works? That's a trick question. Of course they don't.
Do you guys think The Matrix was worth it when you consider stuff like this? Would you give it back if we could to like?
Man,
they'd find something, I guess.
There would always be something, right? They would have just glomped onto the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, the other movie that came out that year could have everything would be episode 1 memes. For right wing.
More than it already is, right?
Like, yeah. I mean,
oh my God, there it is.
Those are lizards. They're not anything but lizards, okay? They're lizard people, so what? And then every once in a while you get somebody trying to, scream through the fucking void to, please pay attention to history.
Right. Please, yeah, this is just the French being French. What's the big deal?
And we're gonna harken back to the 2012 opening ceremony too. That was very satanic.
Sure.
I guess. I don't know. Who remembers this shit?
I mean, Okay. Well, the NHS is satanic.
Sadly, they still won't get it, or they'll say it's a conspiracy theory. Nope. Not either one of those.
I mean, I get I get that you're an anti-Semitic piece of trash, but it's called Learn Some Mythology.
Yeah, I mean, was who painted the Last Supper?
I believe it was Da Vinci.
Was it? Did he take some? Was he directly like referencing Dionysus?
I don't know. I don't know enough about the history of the painting.
Me either. I mean, look, all I know is that there's some really cool Mark Brooks, one really cool Mark Brooks version from Immortal X-Men. He reposted that the other night. He was like, I'm posting this for no reason.
Mark, my guy.
And then there's a Battlestar Galactica version, there's a Lost version. Like all of the best shit has done it,
Yeah, it's commonly referenced. And it's only a big deal now because they want to be offended at people who don't look like them.
I can't understand the minds of these. Like, it just makes no sense to me. Like hidden in plain sight. And they take that to mean that I've seen this in other contexts too, where they're like QAnon or whatever. They're like, oh yeah, they do it out in the open, or they're mocking us with it because they just want us to know that we're powerless or whatever. And it's like, well, then shut up about it, I guess. I don't want to hear if you're powerless, just leave it alone.
If that were true, they would silence you, right? Like it.
Oh, this is a great post here. It's just, reading something that's not there.
Yeah. Unless, no.
Literally, actually contradicting what's said.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, these are all dumb. The other thing is, though, we'll talk about this, I guess, a little bit more Sunday. We got some of it out now. That's good.
Some of the boxing stuff, yeah. We can save that for Sunday if you want, or we can go into it now and leave the Sunday FAP to the FAP.
True. I guess I've just been really bothered by the fact that they don't care that cis woman.
Here's a fun fact.
Going home to a country where trans people are treated as criminals.
I will say this: a lot of the other like athletic organizations in Algeria have spoken out in support of her. This is why my subtitle here is Algeria Football Club fan, because they have been on Twitter vigorously contradicting and posting information about this. So that they're doing that tells me that at least as far as back home, the impact of this might be blunted for her, and I hope that it is. And I think that the Taiwanese athlete who is also being transvestigated also has the support of her government, so that's good.
Yeah.
But I think it's addiction. These people, these J.K. Rowlings, these Elon Musks, they're addicts. And I don't mean to demean addiction. Addiction's a real disease, and I think
I wouldn't allow you to if I thought you were.
Right.
You know?
But
that's
they're
something I take seriously. So.
Yeah, I take it very seriously, and I want, I don't want anything bad to happen to J.K. Rowling or Elon Musk or any of those other shitheads. I want them to get better. I want them to overcome their addiction. And they're addicted to the outrage. They're addicted to transphobia so much that they couldn't go a week without having someone to be mad at. And when they couldn't find one involved in the Olympics, they made one up. They framed someone.
They and like Bob points out here, that's actually accurate. There is a Dutch athlete who's convicted of graping. And then there's I think Dana White spoke at the RNC recently. He speaks at all of them. Dana White, he fucking UFC'd his wife, but not actually in a match.
Mm-hmm.
So
so these people don't really care about women or children or health. They're lying, but also they're addicted to lying. They're addicted to the outrage. They're addicted to the anger. And
we kind of theorized a few layers to this, and I think we'll probably get into it more on Sunday. But yeah, right. Do you want to talk about it now, or
we can talk about it now? Yeah, I'm
okay.
Let me get my notes up.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Anytime somebody shows up and says this, it's gonna be a chud. Gonna be a chud every single time.
Oh yeah, hi. Wow.
Yep.
What's got you wowing, my friend?
Well, somehow he's wandered out of his algorithmic lane and found us, and he's like really disturbed to see that, like, oh wait, people think differently than all of the content that I've been corralled by the algorithm to watch. That's wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to teach him some things. We'll learn them.
Next comes one. It could be Owen Wilson too. I'm sorry. Are you Owen Wilson? I'm sorry if you are. If so, like, I'm sorry. Look, I've never seen you before, and if you're not either Owen Wilson or a chud, I apologize. It's just I've seen a pattern.
They certainly have a type of behavior, a recognized pattern of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Maybe this one is different. Maybe they're here to have a pleasant conversation.
Maybe so. If you're here to hang out and enjoy the show and have some comments and whatnot, go ahead. We welcome it. But yeah, like you were saying the other day in Discord yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
Talking about they're addicted to lying, and and I actually kind of, to go back on what I say in the thumbnail, I don't know that they know they're lying always. I think maybe that they do to some degree. Look, the grifters probably definitely do. The people that are, at the top of the food chain or regurgitation chain. What do you think?
If they aren't lying, well, it's, everyone's different, right? But I think a lot of them are, if not lying to their audience, is lying to themselves. And I think this is very, like, your J.K. Rowlings are lying to themselves, because they have a need. Their brain is.
Oh, I was way off, man.
You were way off, bro. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All good, Newswire.
You're the shit. I really am sorry. All right.
Yeah, it's that, these. And I think this is why, when we to sort of bring it to Fapcast, look, this is why, the lessons of Bill at the end of the show is one of them is fuck the dumb shit, because That's how you avoid getting outrage addiction, is you fuck the dumb shit.
Yep. Yeah, you just you have to. It's a phrase that somebody said whenever I was much younger, and I don't even think it was anything profound, meant to be anything profound, but it stuck with me because it's just kind of stupid sounding. But like when you apply it that way, it does make a lot of sense because it is dumb shit.
Right.
And the internet is full of people that want us to take their dumb shit very seriously.
Very seriously. And this is why they're so upset at being called weird right now, is because it doesn't give them the power they want. It demeans them, and they deserve to be demeaned.
And for anybody that wonders why, like, I always make stupid edits and memes and stuff, that's exactly why I've always done it. Because I've, this, other than they want, so just talking about Chuds in particular, the ones we normally cover here, they want to be seen as very serious fans that have very serious concerns about these things, because that's how they get people to very seriously open their wallets. And think that they're like waging some kind of culture war.
Right.
When I always make sure to just be like, look how stupid they sound,
Right. But they, they need, so it's been a few days from about a week from the opening ceremony, and so they need something, especially if you're talking about the American right wing right now. We're like, I don't think it's any surprise that they've jumped all over framing these two people for being trans.
Wait,
right after two people. Yeah, there's a Taiwanese woman and the woman who's gotten more attention from Algeria.
Well, also there, speaking of wasn't it Taiwan, I think, where where is it? Shit. There was somebody from a country I don't remember. Oh yeah, nope. I don't know what I was looking at. I could have sworn there was somebody who's like a trans man that's in one of the sports, and nobody said anything about him.
Right. Then I was going to get to that. There's only one trans athlete participating in the Olympics this year out of thousands of athletes, a trans man.
Yeah.
I think from Belgium, but fact check me on that. But the reason they won't go after him is really because trans men within the anti-trans community are divisive. Because on the one hand, you have male transphobic misogynists who, how do you hate a trans man if like being a manly man is the pinnacle of the human being, right? That's supposed to be the top dog, right?
It's almost kind of like they're like, oh yeah, of course you'd want to be a man.
Of course you want to be a man, right? It undermines their whole thing to go after a trans man. On the opposite side, you have women anti-trans misogynists, TERFs, gender criticals, whatever you want to call them, who see trans men as something to be pitied because they have given up the one thing that these sorts of female misogynists believe women have a value, and that's their reproductive ability. They don't care about anything else.
Yes.
And so they don't want to attack that person because they pity them. That's why they have to invent a trans woman, because both sort of camps of transphobes agree that you can we can attack those people. And never do they think, hey, wait a minute, that's a weird. Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. Blood Video Company is that, it's insecurity, and that's why doing things like calling them weird, pointing out that they're addicted to this outrage. Well, I think, Bob, it's not just that they'll get a boner over a trans woman one day. It's that a lot of them watch trans porn.
Oh yeah, there's been studies that show that like, the amount of trans porn consumed in like really conservative areas is surprising, but also kind of not.
It is not doing stereotyping any favors.
No. So here's apparently in Taiwan, J.K. Rowling is now not a popular person at all.
Yeah,
in fact,
yeah.
I'm assuming that all these symbols mean like, something really, really shitty about her.
My Chinese is inadequate. But I think this behavior of constantly needing a new person to be mad at, like, I'm kind of glad that I hit on sort of observing it as an addiction that they need, because it's you know, you look at a lot of them and it's more and more and more and more. They need more. It can't just be another like, oh, I support this woman who was shitty in the workplace to her coworkers. It has to be bigger. It has to be more. It has to be more conspiratorial.
And if just anybody's like saying, why are we saying addiction whenever it's, you know, not like a drug or anything, it's like it literally is, because it is activating the same pleasure centers whenever they, you know, they're having their biases confirmed whenever the person that they, you know, believe is responsible for everything bad in the world or whatever is getting shit talked about them, and you know, Steven Crowder's making just the funniest jokes about them or whatever. You know, like they're getting a hit. That's like fucking, oh yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's getting a hit. It's getting a fix. They're
but
Joneses.
the way that it fucking gets more absurd and more ridiculous though is because, like drugs, eventually you're not getting the same effect.
Right. You need more.
You know, it's called chasing the dragon with heroin addicts.
Right.
You know, so they're constantly chasing the dragon of like and that's how they've gone from, you know, what was it, like 4 or 5 years ago, it was just like pronouns in bio is kind of stupid,
Right.
you know, and now they're just straight up like
losing their mind.
Losing their minds. Everybody that they fucking, you know, everybody's trans, and then also the underlying thing of like trans people should not exist. It's kind of gone a ways away from just pronouns, though they'll still mention that too.
A lot worse and a lot more violent, and not just against trans people, because here's the thing about transphobia. The little dirty secret is it's not all about transphobia. I mean, it's definitely about that, but the people most hurt by transphobia are cis people.
Yep.
Because trans folks are 1-ish% of the population. But the chance that someone doesn't fit your perception of what someone's gender should be, but who's cis out in the world, is much higher than your odds of encountering a trans person. Logan Paul can go away. Nothing good. And also there's and you see that with these two athletes in particular, there's a race component involved too.
Yes.
Neither of these are white women. It's an Asian woman and an African woman. And you look at how even back as far as the Obama administration, where you had conservatives making the unfounded accusation that Michelle Obama was a trans woman, including some members of my family, and they still say it, right? Like, I have heard that at family gatherings for a decade now, over a decade now.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I thought I had something to say, and then
That's
kind
fair.
of.
Well, I think to put it, you know, we could talk about the importance of intersectionality, but I think to put it, you know, blithely, bigotry loves company. Is that's a predictor of someone being a bigot towards a particular group is if they're already a bigot towards another group. You know, you look at the Gamergate crowd that went from misogynist and sexist to anti-Semitic to racist.
Yep. They start with the socially acceptable one, which is misogyny.
Yep.
Generally, I mean, like, it's more socially acceptable than anything else.
Right.
And then once they get comfortable with that, and they've been called a misogynist enough times that they can go, you know what, I'm okay with that. We'll see what else. What else can I say? You know.
Well, if you're right. And so, but I think the thing that I hit on, and we, you know, Graham Linehan is a great example of this. Like, one thing, if we're talking about things that happen with real addicts, but like also stereotypical things, is they hurt the people in their lives. They rob them, they lie to them, they hurt them, they abuse them. Even if they're not trans, even if they're just like, hey, you gotta like unplug from this shit. This is bad for you. And they don't want to unplug, they're hooked. People, there's whole subreddits about how, both from the perspective of a relative of mine has lost their mind to this, and also people who have lost their mind to this going, my family won't talk to me anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I don't speak with my dad anymore for this very reason.
I didn't speak with my grandma for years over some of her beliefs, and she's had to unlearn a lot of them for me to be okay having her in my life again. Because they're hooked. It's a drug, and it's like a lot of drugs, it's pushed. Like the opioid epidemic, it's pushed by fucking rich people.
Also a need for the feckless fail sons, those who created their empire, to feel like they are saving white women. Bonus points if they're brown. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the one of the part of the thing that they're addicted to, by the way, is the I said this last night in Discord, like they mythologize themselves in a way. They're kind of like seeing themselves as, and I'm not necessarily thinking consciously, but like they allow themselves to get high on this fucking narrative that they're heroes. They're holding back the hordes of foreigners and transes and stuff like that, and all of this is what's fed upon and exploited by the pushers. That's what is how they get their hooks in.
I had a conservative friend of mine describe this sort of self-mythologizing that people on the right do as paleo LARPing. That they're the primal hunter.
Huh. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that. The gold Ducat effect.
Mark, my guy.
That's fucking great.
Love it.
Yep. Yeah, and they would absolutely run a fucking internment camp.
Yeah.
Full of Bajorans and shit.
And tell himself, he runs the internment camp while he's telling himself that he's their hero.
Yep.
Because he's differently abusive.
And then if he ended up one day meeting someone, a Major Kira or something, who's like, hey, you fucking piece of shit, you ran the internment camp, and he'd be like, why are you mad at me? I gave you guys some water one time or something.
I gave you food and water and only beat you instead of killing you. I'm great.
Right. You're alive. Yeah, that kind of piece of shit.
Look how you've grown up into a well-adjusted person, former terrorist Major Kira.
Yeah, look at you now. All I know is you weren't a major before.
Right.
Oh my god. Yeah. Now I want to watch some fucking I just want to watch Gold Ducat scenes now.
Just time to go. Sorry, we're canceling the stream. We gotta watch DS9 again.
And I'm trying to download a video, so I guess I can just show it on the thing instead. But like, yeah, here is, speaking of them being weird, here's the thing. I've got to run to the restroom really quick.
You do that.
I'm gonna play this, and you can just react.
I will just react.
This is from Mysterious Benefactor, an editor. Hippoclipped.
The legendary Hippoclipped.
They are one and the same with who knows? We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah. Their identity is unknown.
Boom. All right.
They may not even be human.
How could you be with edits this just amazing?
Everyone, just act natural.
You can give me your phone number and your address.
Wow.
A lot of it was the me culture, because that was like
Right.
people wanted to extend their childhoods.
All right, so this is when you first walk in the doors. We got the arcade machine, we got slot machine for some reason, and we got this bar. And as you can see, every flavor of cereal.
Much man, many child.
I do think it's crazy that I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. You know what the problem is,
Skill
though?
issue.
It's definitely not me.
We're talking
Oh,
about
it's a skill
civil
issue.
wars.
We are in a cold civil war. You get a revolution or you get a civil war. We are closer to civil war than any of us would like to believe. That these governors are thinking, yeah, there's not going to be a civil war, but we are in a new civil war. We have seen talk about the potential for a second American Civil War. Trump-led civil war. In the U.S., there will be a civil war. We're facing down the probability of civil war. To a potential civil war. A potential civil war. The coming of the second American Civil War. I made a lot of videos talking about Civil War 2.0. No shit. No shit.
Stop trying to make Civil War 2 happen. It's not going to happen.
Everybody else.
Do what now?
I said, Tim, stop trying to make Civil War 2 happen. It's
Right.
not going to happen. Yeah, dude has no
Yeah.
family because that's a skill issue. That's
You know,
a
he
skill issue.
legitimately fucking dropped out of fucking school when he was like 14 or 12 or something.
Oh, wow. Wow. I did not know that.
I think it's
Yeah,
12.
I knew he was a loser, but.
I mean, I'm just not to say that like you have to, be great in school to be good at anything or even have anything relevant to say, but like he clearly needed some more time. I was looking at was his path, right? It's kind of interesting, and I doubt we'll ever get any more context about it than we really have already. But like, he was a dunce who started kind of reporting on Occupy Wall Street when that was going on.
Yeah.
And it kind of seems like somebody got to him or something. I mean, I have nothing to prove that except that it's hard for me to imagine somebody being so blatantly like dishonest and trying for certain outcomes of things the way that he is, and then also pretending to be an unbiased,
Well, I think he's like a lot of media personalities over the years. He seeks attention where he can find it. I don't think Tim Pool has an ideology other than who will give me the time of day.
Yeah.
It's just that in our current culture, people who believe in things like facts and the rule of law and common decency and empathy aren't going to give someone like him the time of day because he fundamentally lacks all of those things.
Yeah. I mean, it just how he responds whenever, like, Emma Vigilant didn't want to, like, what was it, go
for sushi.
Yeah. It's like, nah, and he like acted like it was just she'd insulted his ancestors or something. It's like, you don't want to be with me. You don't want to spend time with me.
No.
And then, yeah.
Like, I don't get the guy. Well, I do, but I don't. Like, I think that he has made his failings everyone else's problem.
Well, and then, yeah, exactly. And that actually speaks to this part that I didn't mean to, but I cut it off right at a bad time here.
To everybody else. To everybody else. Or 2.0. No shit. No shit. I think it's to everybody else.
So that, and I guess I imagine it showed the other part earlier in this edit, right? Where he's talking about basically he doesn't date, he hasn't dated anyone or whatever because, and he's like, hey, it's not me, it's just everybody else. And to just a pro tip, if you ever find yourself saying that, not to say that it can't happen in certain contexts, it can.
It can.
But just overall, like when it comes to like you can't date anybody, or that's why you don't date anybody or whatever, is because everybody else has all these things wrong with them or whatever. You got a lot of problems you need to start addressing.
You, Mr. Tim Pool, you surround yourself with people who very obviously have problems with the autonomy of women in our society. and you're very Googleable. So yeah, no one's gonna date you. Sorry, bro. Like, you brought that on yourself. That came with your job. You know, every job has hazards, right? You know.
What he's probably a lot like we covered Adam and Sitch last Saturday. Me and Bob, and had had Danimal on to talk about that. And like
really
what I
interview.
came from that with the understanding of is how much these guys legitimately believe that they are the few in terms of like, I'm unpoisoned by whatever fallacious, false thoughts, narratives, ideas that you've been poisoned by, and I see all of these bad ideas floating around and people buying into them, and I'm incapable of buying into them. Like they actually see their minds as some kind of just impenetrable fortress that's perfectly filters out all unhelpful, negative, whatever.
It's so self-deluded, right? Like you almost have to pity it that like, oh no, you don't know where your own thoughts come from. Like I can pick apart where what's influenced me over the years and how it's influenced me and how it's changed over the years. I can take that all apart. I don't have to pretend my mind is some impenetrable fortress. Yeah, bingo. Paul's got it in one.
That's it.
Like, no, propaganda works in everyone. That's why we have to be careful. That's why we have to help each other.
But that's like the Rosetta Stone for me. That fact of like realizing that about centrism, quote unquote centrism. That's kind of what I'm like. I get them now, and not that I get them, but like I get why they are the way they are, because that was the thing that I didn't fully understand, and that's why. Yeah, so I think Tim Pool and Adam and Sitch are very similar in that way.
Right.
And it's
like, spoiler alert, like if your talking point is the same as Ben Shapiro's, you're not a centrist. I got some bad news for you, brother. You're not a centrist.
If he has anything, it's an inferiority complex. He does not behave. He behaves like somebody more with an inferiority complex, and everything that he does and says is to protect himself from that. It's kind of like how you think of a narcissist person with a narcissistic personality disorder, or whatever, is going to be. They just think so highly of themselves, and they really kind of don't. They actually, feel very negatively about themselves deep down.
Is he the one who calls his place a compound?
Yes.
That just like, I hate to psychoanalyze the guy, but something about that seems like you are trying to build a bubble of security for yourself because you do not move securely in your own body.
Well, I mean, look, maybe he's worried about the Civil War II coming.
Yeah, but he made that up. So then he's
it'd be funny. He's like, haven't you heard about Civil War II? It's going to happen. Like, well, yeah, I've heard from you,
Tim. It was a terrible Marvel event. We had Civil War II. Everyone hated it. It was terrible. Absolutely shit tier event comic. Why is Tim trying to bring it back?
I mean, especially you call it a compound when, like, and as we saw in that clip, he's got a fucking skate park. He's got arcades and stuff, and it's like, it's not you don't get to be a man child and call your place a compound. I'm sorry.
I mean, you do, but we're gonna laugh at you. We're not gonna take you seriously.
There was literally a movie called Civil War. That's true. Very good. Yep. I haven't watched it yet, but I watched a video about it that made me want to watch it more than, because I didn't really have any thoughts about it one way or the other when it came out. But there's a video that I saw by Damien, I forget his last name. He does sci-fi movie commentary, and it's actually very fucking good. His video about it, and he makes the movie seem more appealing, because a lot of the things that I saw people complaining about out of context did kind of seem silly. But then he kind of frames it in a way that it's like, okay, the stuff that people are thinking is bad and dumb and silly is intentionally done that way so that you can't latch your ideology or modern politics onto it. So like the fact that Texas and California are aligned in the movie doesn't make any sense.
It does, right? It's not our world,
right? And then also, it doesn't, it says things like the Antifa massacres or whatever, and like it doesn't say if Antifa was the massacred or they were doing the massacring, right? So it's things that we can kind of like. I think that's what, this isn't a review of that. I haven't even seen the movie, so.
Yeah, I have no idea. I know nothing about it.
Is it about journalism? Is it?
That's
not
what I
what
heard.
The video I watched said. In the video I watched, that definitely is more informative than watching the movies.
Yeah, now just flashback to that guy who's like, I watched 3 hours of content. Tell me about a 30-minute episode of The Acolyte. I am very smart and efficient. No, you're a sucker. You are hooked on drugs, dude.
So
lay off the YouTube sauce.
See, I don't know what else is in here, but let's see. Oh, hey, Norm. Oh god.
Most manly Ben Shapiro.
Oh my god.
Mr. Botox himself.
I think to a degree he was. I think that's right, but also not entirely. I think that he was because I hate to keep talking about a movie that I haven't seen, but I feel like I know enough about it that I can comment on the commentary about it, right? Because yeah, so it's not like just any old movie. It is a movie that has a lot of stuff that correlates to current fucking days. All right, so it's the point of the video is the Damien. I wish I remember his last name. I'll find it. But like, is that what's his name? The goddamn writer director. Fuck.
I have no idea.
Somebody I really like. He did Dread and Ex Machina and stuff. Nonetheless, he's the whole premise is that he's angry. He believes he's angry with someone, with people. The movie is angry. The director's angry, and it's just like a matter of finding out who is he angry at. Is he angry at the right? Is he angry at the left? And no, he's not. He's angry at the people that essentially have been throwing fuel on the fire towards the Civil War. People that like get on the internet every day and amp up their fucking rhetoric and just go right at each other's throats and stuff like that.
Okay. Mark says Alex Garland was the
Garland. Yes, thank you. And most of that is from the right, I believe, and it definitely was originally intensified by the right more than anything.
But you can find tanky and accelerationists on the left, but for them, I would like to say that accelerationism is a right-wing philosophy, even if you're on the left. Sorry.
It actually originally was a left-wing philosophy, but it's just it changed. It basically doesn't mean the same thing it originally did. So.
No.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Not.
Wolverines. Look at this fucking guy, man. Holy shit. Why is he not in prison yet? Like,
because he's being protected. But he belongs in prison.
Yeah, that is exactly what his point is that a second Civil War would not be fucking fun. It wouldn't be cool. Everybody would hate it. Why are you doing this? Stop doing what you're doing on the internet and shit.
Fucking chill. Well, CM, you are not the only one, but certainly the voices online, especially on Twitter, are heightened in such a way that those voices calling for not just blindly buying into misinformation, and paranoia were pushed to the top of the algorithm, and those that were calling for rationality.
Shared by the guy who owns the platform.
Yeah.
C Movies. I was about to just give C Movie Studios all the credit. I don't know how I would support any of this, but like, hey, good job, you're the one.
If you started it, you're the one, and good on you, bro.
You know, glad you got that taken care of for everybody. We won't hear about it anymore. Okay.
We'll keep fighting the good fight.
Weird. Okay, so I actually have an edit about this too. You know, just whatever. It's stupid, but it's
wrong with stupid.
There's, you know, they were all
weird. Problem is, they are a weird
instead of
political
getting their
party.
faces painted, they were at Trump rallies getting. So there was somebody there that was almost certainly charging money for this.
Yeah, to get fucking Kleenex put in your ear.
There's so much grift in MAGA. Like, it's such a fucking. If you watch Dead Domain's coverage of the CPAC, there's just like anti-woke water and all this shit. There's just so much. These people are, and that's why it exists. Really, you know, that's why they're whether it's Chuds on talking about fandom or gaming or this shit. There's people that just recognize fools and fools with money. Fools that are going to open their wallets to spend their money because they're too stupid to understand that what they're spending their money on is nothing but bullshit. They're too convinced of their righteousness to even consider that they might be wrong. You know.
So there was a restaurant in town here when the RNC was in town that changed the name of one of their regular drink specials to Liberal Tears and doubled the price. It's like, oh, we're just gonna make money off you. Like, if you're dumb enough to buy that, we'll give you watered down liquor all night.
I mean, yeah, look, I totally get it. Like, I mean, we should have separation of all sorts of things. I mean, gender is really just like one small thing of that. You know, I mean, there should be just like, look, there are people that play basketball that are far taller than other people that play basketball. Men. You know what I mean? Like, if you just look at the NBA, so there's guys that are like 7 foot something. Like, what the fuck business does he have? The 7'8" guy or whatever playing in the same league with a fucking 6'2" guy. That doesn't make any sense.
The nature of sports is that some people are going to be better than others, and that's okay. The problem is that we have whole sectors of our economy that run on making money off of people being better at a game. And so if we want to address the root problem, it isn't trans people in sports or people with some biological advantage in sports. The problem is money in sports. That's it.
I mean,
simple as
the fact that the thing we're talking about and really the example that they've done several examples of you know, some Olympian or I don't know about Olympian, but you know, somebody in some sport somewhere that is actually trans, competing in that sport, and they managed to get a little bit of you know, play on that. This is like nothing I've ever seen. And the fact that they're getting so much play on this with a fucking, remind you, a cis woman. She's not actually trans. That should tell you everything about the legitimacy of, you know, their concerns and you know, this being a problem that needs to be addressed. And, you know, to any degree that it is something to be addressed, it's not something that should be, you know, used for the kind of violent, fucking hateful rhetoric that's thrown around.
And remember, these people are chasing a fix.
Yeah.
That how many of the people sharing this story care about women's Olympic level boxing? How many of them really care? Back when it was the college swimming, how many of them really cared about women's college swimming? It's
well, I'm gonna tell you guys what I saw a tape
why are
about
we
this.
taking addicts at their word?
True.
When we know they're lying and we know they're addicted to it. Yeah.
You can trust an addict if they're recovered in recovery, but you can't trust an addict that's deep in the throes of addiction.
Right. They're gonna lie.
Somebody had a take about this yesterday that I thought was really good. Let's see. Okay. So this is Robert Evans, the only Robert Evans.
The only Robert Evans.
I don't support gendered sports. All athletic competition should be done in pitch black, athletes matched randomly by computer. They enter blindfolded. Neither competitor or the audience knows who is doing what. Just blackness and the sound of sweaty muscles slapping together.
Okay, but I would listen to that.
This is why Robert Evans is, you know, I mean, for one, the only Robert Evans, but also
He's the only Robert Evans.
And then some fucking transphobic dipshit responded that said, "Way to defend trans weirdos, pussy." And Robert said, "Sorry, can't hear you over the sound of how much I just came in your dad."
Okay, so I have a funny story about that exact tweet. I was in my office laughing when I read it, and a coworker came and checked on me. "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, but it's fine."
Like, just came in your dad. Like, what is even the sound of that anyway? Why is it so loud? Like, there's so many questions.
Well, that's why he's the only Robert Evans.
Right.
Because only he can come that loud.
I mean, he's the only guy, by the way, that could, you know, get Jordan Peterson trending for, you know, having what was it? It was like the Chinese
milking porn.
It's so
dumb. Jordan Peterson, come on the show. We'll talk. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I really am. I'm building up the. I guess it's just courage. I don't know. Like, I want to be able to say the right thing before I fire off an email to this guy. But I really would like to talk to him. You know what? I mean, I probably could maybe get him as a guest before I could be a guest on his show. I imagine.
Right. Yeah, I have no idea, but
I just
is
feel like
an interesting guy.
Behind the Bastards is kind of you know, it needs an episode on like the Fandom Menace Comics Gate, right? Like, doesn't it need an episode on that? Doesn't it feel like?
I mean, at least some of the the shitbirds in chief.
Yeah, or like Ethan Van Sciver or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Critical Drinker. I don't know.
Maybe
something needs some representation over there. You know, some anti-fan representation.
You know what it might be is that he doesn't want to give them the attention.
True.
Because they feed on this attention economy. That
I mean, I would counter with the idea that they don't generally care much about what happens outside of YouTube.
That's true.
It's kind of bizarre. I've trying to remember what it was that I saw or heard podcast. I think that, you know, of course, his podcast does go up on YouTube too. So there's that.
Yeah.
But
I was surprised the other day when it recommended me his podcast. Right after I finished listening to his podcast on my phone, I hopped onto YouTube to put something on while I was working, and I'm like, "Oh, you should listen to Behind the Bastards." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I just finished that. YouTube, stop spying on me badly."
Yeah, I mean, you know, and also it's a valid concern. I do think that it is to the point, at least with like Comicsgate in particular, where there's not as much of a risk of exposing an audience to it as you're going to end up with some new comic skaters as there used to be.
Yeah, especially because that that community has really fractured.
It's so sad. Like, basically every time that I see them, you know, kind of discoursing, it's all about how they all hate each other.
They all hate each other now, and everyone's in their little camps. It's the Iron Age guys and Ethan and Eric, and they're all in their own little camp, and their little camps hate each other.
So we're not doing like the whole conversation specifically about that right now. C Movie Studios.
So when did they start caring about that?
Who?
CM's friends. When did they start caring about that? When did that become a big deal to them? Because there's not that many trans athletes. When they talk about these trans sports bans in states, it's like 1 to 10 kids in a whole state.
You know, and like let's talk about the fact, the narrative, the idea that that cis men are going to become trans women just because they want to be able to like in the case of this once again cis woman because they just want to beat up a woman or something like that. Why would you go through all that trouble when you can just be a cop?
Right. Gotcha.
Sorry, I saw that joke yesterday, and it's
like the premise of the question is already poisoned, CM. That's why I'm kind of digging down on this.
Yep.
It is that from jump, you're talking about such a small pool of people, and it's not like Leah Thomas has gone on to dominate that sport. She did well one time, and she's done all right other times, but like to say that she is dominating the sport is a lie.
You can look up and see the vast majority of examples of a trans woman, who has transitioned in a sport while playing a sport does worse.
Especially because you lose muscle mass fucking quick. I speak from experience. Like I have a job that requires some amount of regular physical activity, and I'm not getting any stronger on HRT. So this idea that like I would have a competitive advantage over any of the women boxing or any of the swimmers in the Leah Thomas example, any one of those girls could beat me at swimming because I cannot swim. That's if we're going to have a restriction, I don't think that's an unfair one. But
well, that's the thing. Like there's we can't even begin to have a conversation about these things. It's the same thing in every context, whether we're talking about comic books in the industry, movies in this industry, or sports, and how do we integrate trans people or whatever. Like we can't talk about any of these things because of the fucking grifters and the bigots that occupy the conversation, and they monopolize it with their bullshit, right? Like you can't even have a nuanced, good faith discussion.
But there are cis male fighters that have wildly different musculatures too. It's not the only thing that goes into the fight. I don't know enough about fighting to have a conversation because once again, the reason we're having this conversation is not because people care about fighting. It's because people care about hating trans people, which is why like to go to a fighting story I do recall where they were all mad that a boy was competing with girls in Texas high school wrestling. And the reason that was it was a trans boy who was being forced to compete with cis girls.
Yeah. So there was once upon a time a short period whenever I actually kind of got into somewhat into mixed martial arts and watching it, and kind of took a couple of classes and start learning how to do kickboxing and stuff. Didn't go very far, but at the time that was going on, there was a woman who, and I'm a little bit ashamed to say, but not super ashamed, because back then she was pretty, didn't know much about her, didn't know how stupid she was, and she was also very, very hot, but she was also much bigger than a lot of her competitors. Talking, of course, about fucking now for her name has slipped my mind. God damn it.
Is it the Star Wars lady or the not Star Wars lady? Oh, Gina Carano.
Gina Carano, that's right. If you compared her to a lot of the competitors she was facing off, she was fucking pretty massive, dude. Like, and she clearly has like a bone structure and skeletal structure that's just like, she's big. She's a big girl. And whenever she was like in fighting shape, it was pretty goddamn impressive and also pretty hot. And it's like, but she's cis, and nobody ever, I'm sure there probably were some people back then that were, making some shitty remarks, but like, nobody was really questioning it. How is that any different?
Right.
If we're talking about the Gabby,
yeah. Oh wow, an athlete has a physical advantage over their competitor. Welcome to sports.
Yep,
that's the whole thing.
No, they must all match perfectly, and then it's simply a game of chance at that point. Like who ends up like
we can flip coins.
Yep.
We can replace sports with coin flipping if that's what you want.
So what you do is you get people who are 100% on every measurement, every criteria. They are exactly matched, and then you put them in the ring and you like grease it up, the floor. And then it's just like whoever fucking slips first is. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I don't even think but I mean the majority of people on X. I think the voices that are magnified by X took the bait, because that's what Twitter is now, is a bait farm to it is it's a drug cartel to sell to just have readily available outrage in every flavor you can imagine so you can get your fix. So of course they're not going to apologize, because they're not there because they care about women's boxing. They're there because they want to be outraged about trans people. Everything else is just pretext, and we need to not take them at their word, because they're inconsistent, right? A week ago, the company line from these people was that, oh, they're only a woman if they have a uterus. Well, here's 2 women with uteri, and now they're not real women.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's like their definition is going to shift based on whatever gets them their fix.
Oh,
like they're addicts and they need help.
Like I've been saying on this channel for nearly 5 fucking years. You all know about the Michael Phelps thing, right? Like y'all know, everybody knows about that, right?
He's immune. He's got an
He's
X
a goddamn freak. I don't mean that in a bad way, but he is. No. He's got a mutation. A couple of them really. Like what is it? His wingspan is much longer. Like his arm tip of his fingers to tip of his fingers, much longer than.
He's double jointed. He's got unusually high lung capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And just all these things that, like, yeah, it turns out when you win the genetic lottery, you're good at something with that. Who knew?
If it was the case that these people actually just dominated, like even half the time, it would be something more worth, like, okay, let's stop talking about other stuff for a minute, talk about this, I guess. You know what I mean? But like, it's not even close to that, so it's dumb.
Yeah.
All right.
It's dumb.
Trans people are valid. Trans people are awesome. Nobody's fucking transitioning so they can dominate sports. Nobody's transitioning so they can fucking sneak in bathrooms and shit.
Right.
They could do that anyway. And also, assault is illegal no matter what gender you are. Like, yeah. He produces half as much lactic acid, the source of muscle fatigue. That's crazy. Like, it's almost like he is, genetically
He's got
made
an
in a
X gene.
lab to fucking win gold medals.
Yeah, and that's a whole other segment of the conversation, Andrew.
I mean, what you say it should be that, but like, which one do we have any kind of which one is the conversations being had? I mean, we are not having that conversation because that's not the conversation being had generally. So why would we just like then turn it into like lefty fart sniffing conversation about imperialist states? Because I mean, that's kind of like a given, I feel like, to anybody that's willing to hear that type of analysis. But
and also, to jump in, I don't know if you were here earlier in the conversation, we were talking about how it's not a shock that the people being targeted by this are an African woman and a Taiwanese woman.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, they're people of color in countries that aren't major players on the world stage. Huh. Wonder why that is. So we actually have touched on that. So, you can listen to it back on the VOD or whatever. We touched on it.
Let's look at this shit now. Okay, fucking.
Now onto something completely non-controversial, like AI.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh
the
my
biggest
god.
betrayal.
Yeah, give me 1 second
Simone
here.
was mad about this.
yeah, I mean, I don't think I've literally ever seen comics community, whether it's fan. Okay, of course, I'm sure the Chuds have their takes on it, but like they're not really fans, so they don't count. But like comics fandom and the industry and the artists and everything, just like everyone
all
rejects this
came
shit.
together and went, "Fuck you!" Just a big, honest, heartfelt dyna-fire.
How has there ever been anybody? I'm sure there has taken such goodwill and just squandered it as this
idea, the genesis of this idea, because I'm told it had something to do with the media company that you had started prior to this.
Yeah, absolutely. The media company I had started prior to Lumi, as well as the publishing company prior. We faced a lot of barriers there in helping creators both create, the expense, distribution, and also the gatekeeping within the industries. So we looked at those barriers and found a solution to be able to help creators solve that and to be able to do that at scale. And I think that's really important. And the last piece that's important there is creators also own all of the work that they create. So they no longer have to be commissioned hires. They no longer have to create for somebody else. They have freedom to create what they want and have that independence.
Okay, so I only ever cared insofar as like, I actually think that he should be able to do the Neely thing. Otherwise, I don't know anything about him or the sport ball that he plays. I don't care about any of that. I never was like a fan of his, but I mean, yeah, I was behind the purpose of what he was doing, as far as I knew about it. But yeah, so when I say squandered goodwill, I don't actually care about his aspect of it, right? Like I just kind of am speaking from what it seems like went from people supported him to now, at least in terms of comics fans and creators, he's not
Well,
supported.
and I mean it's gotten off of just comics communities. It is in to the broader art community of like, oh, fuck this guy.
No, yeah, they absolutely did. They they screwed him because he was right and he was calling it out. And it was, the NFL seemed to me that it's like, wait a second, a good bit of our audience are the people that, they're racists and shit. Like, we can't be calling that shit out. We can't have one of our players, out of line, not knowing his place,
And like, do I hate him now? No. I think he is wrong on a thing. I think he is a person who is incorrect and is doing a bad thing. Do I personally hate him? Of course not. That's weird. Why would I hate him? He hasn't done and he's trying to do an AI startup. Him and 10,000 white dudes with MBAs. Okay.
Well, so I actually made a little graphic here to kind of help us know exactly, because I was surprised that this does say these investors here, but there's more. I mean, none of them are especially super controversial or anything. So I mean, like if you're looking for that, that's not there. It does actually seem like, in terms of venture capital firms, at least one of them is specifically focused on what you could colloquially say as woke investments.
Yeah. Well, like Sketchy points out, like celebrities invest in bad business deals all the time. Like my mind goes to all the celebrities that invested in NFTs.
Sure, but the thing is, though, he actually months ago, Colin spoke with several creators, actual professional comic book creators, to get their takes on it, get the feedback. And generally, the report is by the couple of people who have talked about it so far. They said that everybody told him this is going to hurt artists, it's going to hurt creators, it's going to just basically dilute the industry, that does have problems. Sure.
Yeah.
But like, so let's look at what it said here. I still got the hip clipped on screen. Should take that down. Whoopsie. 776 is venture capital firm. They own or have invested in Polygon, Mr. Beast, and various apps. Kapoor Capital, venture capital, over 170 startups. Impellant Venture, 70 startups, including in aerospace and defense. That's probably the most controversial type of thing there, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, and then Facebook, Meta as well. And then just like executives who invest in AI shit. Period.
Right.
Chameleonaire. Like the questions you should ask yourself is, how many of these care about the comic book industry and care about comics as a medium?
Right.
Does anybody here? Does Colin? You know, he's got a comic book out. I looked into this a little bit. Like he has made one comic already, which is why he had an experience of getting a comic book made.
Right.
And
it's hard.
It's hard. I've known people that do it, have done it, continue to do it. It's not fucking easy.
No.
But like, if you want to make comic books, but you don't want to actually do the creation part of it, you don't want to make comic books.
What you want to do is be a writer.
You want to have a product, essentially. And this thing is gonna seemingly, it seems like Lumi would allow you to have no talent, skill, and look, I mean, yes, I get that sometimes it may feel unfair to not have a skill in something that you really want to do, to not have the talent. Those are two different things, by the way. Talent, generally is just something you kind of have or don't, but you can also develop skill,
right,
and turn that into talent. The people that create comic books that are like professionals and get work regularly have committed, I mean, just an ungodly amount of their lives to the creation of comic books, to the detriment of probably a lot of other things. And then of course you have your people that got their start in other ways, Ta-Nehisi Coates and stuff. They're doing other things, but then they start working in comics. That's fine. That's fine. Whatever. But like, it seems like the gatekeeping that he's talking about is what, paying an artist?
It's what it sounds like, because this isn't, as far as I know, going to handle. It's not going to make it easier to publish. It's not going to make it easier to get a distributor. It's not going to make it easier to print comics. It's not going to provide you a digital platform to release digital comics. So all you're doing is replacing artists.
Look, the high production cost is the one that that can be a thing, sure. If you're going to start out and you expect to just your first comic book, you want to make a shitload of copies and have them like the best quality possible. Yeah, I guess that would be really, really limiting. But like long production timelines, you mean like an artist working on a comic book? So here's, I've talked about this before. I think it's embarrassing, but years and years ago, whenever I first decided, you know what, I bet I could write a comic book. I like comics enough. I know enough about them. I'm pretty confident I could do an okay comic. But I don't, I stopped drawing when I was 15. So I was like, I'm going to get online. I'm going to find an artist and reach out to him. And I reached out to a couple of artists, and you artists that are watching are going to be like, oh, what the fuck, dang. Believe me too. I was like, hey, I got some ideas for comics. What do you think about, we work on a comic together and then we try and shop it around. And if it's successful, we'll split the profits 50-50. And if I got a response, I essentially got laughed at because now I understand that, artists fucking spend it's one thing to be a writer. I'm a writer. I say it's much easier than to be an artist. I didn't have to, I practice. I know I've studied writing. But like, it's not the same thing as putting the dedicated fucking time into practicing your skill that art requires. And then, looking back on it, like, holy shit, the fucking gall of me to reach out to somebody that's trying to make a living. Say, hey man, you want to stop everything that you're doing right now and work on this shit with me? And then probably not, but maybe you'll get paid one day.
Right. Nah. When you're talking about, especially talking about like a full color comic book, where like it's often for like a major comic book, it's not just one artist. You're talking about artists and inkers and text setters and line artists. All those things go into it. And then also you have an editor who is going to make sure that your text follows your events in the comic and that you don't have any bad writing issues. And even good writers have editors, right? Stephen King has an editor.
Yeah.
So like production cost isn't just art, and all this really solves is art.
Well, So you know how I know that this would be, you know, kind of like the, I don't want to say the death of the industry. It would be reshaped to a degree that like it wouldn't be the same thing at all. Because I even feel the pull of being like, you know, maybe, you know, because I can't afford a fucking artist. I don't know if I'll ever be able to afford one. I really want to make a comic book though. Like there is an impulse in me that starts to go, yeah, maybe. And I stop myself. I'm not going to do it, but it's right. It's there.
It's there.
Okay. And I check myself because I recognize the ramifications of that. And I don't want it that badly. I want it really badly to make a comic book, and I hopefully will get the chance to do that one day. But I'm not going to do it at the expense of all artists. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to contribute to that shit. The only, I guess, maybe potentially saving grace is that maybe the art will just be bad and nobody will really, you know, do it after a while.
So here I think is what would keep something like this away from the big two, or rather keep the big two away from something like this, is that often with these AI, even if you're a large multinational corporation, a Marvel, a DC, you don't own what it produces, or if you do, you share rights in perpetuity with the company that makes the AI to both use as training data and other things. And so if I am Marvel Comics, the rights holder to the characters as seen in the MCU, do I want Wolverine and Captain America and the training database of this AI because I wanted to save money on an artist? What happens when Lumi comes and goes, hey, where's my cut of your movie? Because they own, oh, well, yeah, this sketch you did for this movie is inspired by this panel that our AI came up with, and we own part of the rights to this panel then. It's a rights nightmare, and so why you are disincentivized to get involved with that as a rights holder, especially with these startups who are, let's say Marvel got in bed with Lumi, right? And you see all these venture capital firms that own Lumi. Well, so Lumi closes, but the rights to Lumi's IP and their technology will get sold off, probably to another startup. Well, that will then fold and get sold off to another startup or another company at that point, and so on and so forth. And then, okay, if you're Marvel and you made that deal with the devil, and 10 years from now, Facebook is like, oh yeah, it turns out we own Spider-Man.
Yeah. Because that's the what you know, whenever the question of like, do these people actually care about comics? That's just one aspect of how that could go very wrong, because whenever you're prioritizing, you know, you see an IP as just a source of income. Like in Marvel, definitely, you know, I'm not sitting here saying that Marvel is just pure in their how they operate, but like there are people at Marvel or in DC who, you know, yes, while these IP are sources of revenue, there's somebody there that's kind of like stewarding the thing for the right reason, for the reasons that I think most fans appreciate characters or IP, right? Like
if there weren't people in those companies who didn't love comics for love of the game, they would have sold the rights to those characters decades ago.
Yep. Yep. You know, it's just, look, guys, if you aren't, I'm just going to repeat this. If you don't want to actually create a comic, and I don't mean enter some, you know, a prompt into a prompt and then like wait for something to shit out whatever happens, you know, that's not creation. That's not what that is. If you don't want to actually create a comic, just don't worry about it. Don't, you know, just go. If you like reading them, read them. Cool.
And if you like writing and you want to write a comic, start writing for comics. Start practicing that writing style, because like if I've listened to interviews with people who were not comics writers and who have gone on to write a comic, and it's a whole different ballgame than writing a novel or writing for speaking or even writing for TV.
Yep.
So like you may not be able to make a comic today, but it is going to be a lot easier for you to do that if the opportunity arises, if you know how to write for comics, rather than having a machine spit out a template and you fill in the word bubbles. You would almost be better off going, and I'm this is going to sound demeaning. I do not mean it in a demeaning way. You would be better going to like the kids department at a bookstore and buying like a Marvel coloring book that just has pictures of superheroes and action poses and draw in word bubbles and figure out how the story flows and learn to work within an artist's art rather than having a machine give you what it thinks that you want, because it can't give you what you want because it's not a person. But yeah, so like there's a lot of things you can do if you want to get good, if you want to practice writing for comics. There are better things for you to be doing that will set you up better for success than writing with AI. All that's going to do is build ill will, because if I'm, let's say you get hired on, maybe not by the big two, but by like an IDW or a Boom or something. And it's just like, oh, I don't want to work with that writer because he fucking, all his shit he's published is with AI art. How am I supposed to trust that guy to be my partner? Because an artist and a writer on a comic have to trust each other. They have to. They may not like each other, but they have to trust each other. All right, I'm off my soapbox now. I don't know how that got there. Oh, Dane's still away. I'll vamp some more. Yeah, it would Shad, like when Shad hears this, he'll cream. He will cream all over his like fake chainmail hoodie. Yeah, that's another, the guy who first started drawing One Punch Man, it's like fucking stick figures.
Sorry, I got hit with some food.
Oh, got hit with food. Woo, food. Hopefully it didn't hit you too hard.
Nah, it's going to when I'm done. Anyway, I was gonna say something. Oh, the blood, sweat, and tears of creation is part of creation.
Yeah.
Don't try to find a shortcut. I mean, like, yeah, obviously, ideally, you don't want to have to literally, cry or bleed or anything, but like, so if you've seen my Superman video that I did a while back, a couple of years now, part of the story of Siegel and Schuster creating Superman and getting him to DC and getting published, that's the end result after years of trying to. First they shopped around an early prototype of Superman that was more evil Professor X than he was Superman,
right?
But the thing is that was rejected, and that rejection, which I'm sure was the hardest, shittiest feeling they could have, at the time, played a role in what Superman became. So like, what I mean is that having it easy kind of very well could, bypass opportunities to inspire you to create something even better than what I don't know what I'm trying to say, man.
I think I got it. It's like these two guys, artist, writer, working together to bring it together is what brought us comics. And there is something about that has made American comics special.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why comics fans always want to know who's the creative team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, it's new Superman book, sure, whatever. Who's the creative team or whatever?
Right.
Like, That's why after Krakoa was ending, it was like, okay, who are they going to get?
Who are they going to get? Right. That was the thing that you and I were like, okay, who is following this up? Because, and I think what we've seen so far has been better than I had hoped.
Mm-hmm.
I just read the first issue of X-Force this week, and it was very good.
I mean, the writer's pretty good. I'll say that.
Yeah, the art.
He's also
is...
very smart on what channels he watches on YouTube.
Oh.
Because I mean, I had him as a guest one time. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, I did not.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Can you get me some signed art?
Well, I mean, he's a writer, but probably, maybe, probably not.
Probably not, but I can dream. Yeah. But yeah, it's as that's.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will check out some AI comics because they're coming. We can't stop it.
Well, yeah, it's going to happen.
I will check some out if if it starts making some buzz and I hear anybody even remotely that I kind of kind of care about their opinion, say that this is actually worth checking out. I'll check it out. Ideally, I won't pay any money for it, but I will check some stuff out just to see. I like to think that in the end, much like with movies or music, that AI produced art is going to. It might have a moment where there's a lot of it or whatever, but in my mind, it would get rejected eventually by enough people to no longer be relevant.
I think the people who want to sell AI art don't understand that even if we make a true artificial intelligence, because what we have right now with these large language models is not. If we had a truly sapient artificial intelligence, it would not see or think about the world in the way that we do, and its art would be fundamentally different than something we would recognize as art. And that's okay.
This is true.
Well, and I think that it's a little more complicated than that, because I think I think AI and the idea of AI has been part of the public consciousness for decades now, right?
Blame it on 90s movies.
Classic. It's even before then, right? Space 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
And even going back further than that, right? You've got Heinlein and Asimov stories with AI, from the 30s. And so, yeah, Asimov's a big influence. Surprise. But it's what we have here is tech bros and venture capitalists just looking to get the hot, trying to get ahead of the curve and bet on the hot new thing.
Mm-hmm.
The technology isn't there yet, and even yeah,
I don't know if I'd call it a grift necessarily in most cases, but I mean it is just what you're describing. Because I've seen people calling it a grift. The AI is just a grift, and it's I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's definitely probably people glomming onto it now that are grifting, but
sure,
as a concept, and it is something that is. I mean, AI is a good thing, and things that do actually more resemble actual AI, even though we haven't reached the so-called singularity of AI or anything. There's programs and stuff that do all kinds of amazing things in medicine and all kinds of shit that that's great. You know what I mean? But even Asimov had was it 3 laws?
Yeah.
Which
is a funny thing because the point of the 3 laws isn't I'm going to go on a whole tangent now. I'm sorry, but I have to.
It's okay.
The purpose of the 3 laws as a storytelling device is that they will be broken. That's the bit. When people go, oh, like canon established a rule, why did they break it? Because that's the point of establishing rules in a canon, is to break them. Mm-hmm. You don't say this is impossible without it being possible, because then why did you waste the time in the story to say it's impossible?
Right. Yeah, I mean, but what I was going to say about the was it one of them is harm no human or something?
Right.
Well, this will,
right?
This will harm people, like in not even necessarily indirect ways, but like in the sense that there. I want to paint a picture for you guys. Imagine comics market flooded with just like non-unique, nothing that like is remotely appealing to you as a longtime comics reader or whatever. It's all just a bunch of dreck. It's all colorless. Like it has color, but it's like colorless in terms of like color that grabs you.
Right. It has nothing that, yeah.
Because and now you may say, but what about people like yourself, Dane, who you really want to write comics, and there's probably some really strong writers out there who just they're not gonna have the chance. That's probably true. There's probably gonna nobody's guaranteed anything in life. However, what will come along more so than writers who are just like amazing writers who now are getting their chance to put their comics out there, way more than that is going to be people who think they're good writers and are not. And there's going to be so much garbage everywhere. It's just going to be impossible to navigate. Everybody's just cranking out poorly written shit. Sorry.
It will also increase the demand of the good shit, which will make it more expensive, right? Because if any schmuck can use an AI, right? Like, am I going to pay for a Snyder and Capullo Batman book when I can buy Bat Slop? I think even Eric July isn't dumb enough to use something like this.
Right. I mean, look, if you really want to make a comic book and you don't, if you have some money,
got actual artists and actual other writers.
I will give this to Eric July. Glass House Graphics is a stable of real human beings with some, varying degrees of talent.
Right.
They may be anti-Semites or something, but they're artists.
Right. Yeah. Like, I will give Eric that much.
That's all he gets.
That's all he gets. He gets the one.
All right, let me talk about one more thing here before we finish up.
Sure.
There's a golden era, apparently, looking back, when there was a company, they knew their identity, they knew who they were doing things competently. That's when they really made a name for themselves. And they haven't been doing the best in recent years. Made a lot of poor choices, really, but they just made a really good one.
Oh, we're back, baby.
I mean, you look at this. There's no other logo that they've had that kind of fucking time span. That's crazy.
That's like a quarter century. That's almost 30 years.
And they recognize it too. They're like, you know what, guys? Why do we try? What do we do this? What is this shit right here? What is that? I don't know.
Like, I like the one right after the best logo, but like the best logo is the best logo.
Yeah, I mean the 2005 one is the one that I remember being most prominent when I got into comics as an adult, because that's right around the time I did. But yeah, it just something about this one is just DC all the way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even the way it's kind of turned a bit, like why I don't know, but it's got character.
It's got character, yeah. It's classy. I like it. It's iconic.
I mean, Marvel has changed their logo, but like it's generally been the same, kind of white text with a in a red block kind of thing, with varying degrees changed around it. But like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did get kind of used to the 2016 one, I guess, but
I didn't. But
1 second, I'll be back.
all right. Yeah, I don't blame you, Sketchy. Like, I think in an age where AI art is going to become more prevalent, there will be a demand for real art. And I'm going to scroll back up in the chat. I can't highlight anything. Oh, Harlan. Yeah, I think that you're onto something here. Is that like the use of the sort of large language model and similar AIs we have now is going to be as closed systems, not as a general use application. But even then, I think unfortunately that's not where the development money is going into. But if this sort of technology is going to be useful and useful at scale, that's the only way to do it. I think these broad application trained on the whole internet large language models they're inefficient from every resource standpoint you can imagine. They outgrow their systems exponentially, and they just don't work very well. But that technology is useful in a scaled down environment that can be tailored to purpose.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is why I'm kind of praising it, because it's not often they make good ones anymore. But here's something I said on Twitter the other day. I feel like DC is on a kind of a ramp up to greatness. I mean, they're kind of already there based on the little bit I've read of, like, you know, Absolute Power off to a very strong start. It seems like the Absolute Universe, or whatever it's called, it's got a lot of potential for sure. We'll see how they do, but, like, you know, and then the James Gunn movies I think are gonna probably be pretty good, believe it or not.
I have a lot of faith in James Gunn. I'm not as keen on the Absolute Power event as you are. I only read the first issue, and I'm like, I don't know if this is for me. I think I'm just kind of tired of Amanda Waller, and tired of. I mean,
it kind of looks like this is her. This might be like her last move. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like.
Yeah,
they're gonna do much with her after this.
So. Right, she might be going away for a while, but I think that's good.
And you know, I just hope that they do, because, like I said on Twitter, and you know, you may not believe me, I've always wanted to like DC as much as I like Marvel. And I'll find little bits of it here and there, character here and there, whatever, a story here and there that reaches that level of appreciation. But yeah,
I think for me, like, DC has had a lot of strong individual books and strong individual characters over the years, but I think Marvel has always been better at making their characters part of a greater universe in a more cohesive way that allows even weak characters to sort of be more than the sum of their parts.
Yeah.
That I think DC has kind of failed at, and I think part of that is just because the stable of DC characters is so much more varied in terms of tone and context. Like Batman and Superman live in the same universe. They're fundamentally different characters in a way that, like, Iron Man and Captain America aren't.
If I could say something, might be a hot. I feel like a lot of the DC's publication life, there were a lot more characters created simply to maybe make a buck, maybe just like to say, you know, to slap some things together. Maybe not cynical, but like not as much thought went into the characters. In my opinion, it seems that way. As what happened generally at Marvel.
Yeah. I also think with DC, part of it is that their stable of characters is not all their own. Like, they've bought other comics companies and added those characters to their universe. And while I think that makes it a very colorful universe, I think sometimes it makes it a very
lame.
Not lame.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. No, I mean, like, and that's one of the reasons James Gunn, I think, it's probably a big reason they chose James Gunn, because he took the lamest fucking characters and put them intentionally in his movie, and then, like, fucking Polka Dot Man.
Right, Polka Dot Man.
You kidding me? Who else was in there? There's a
Ratcatcher.
Ratcatcher 2.
Yep.
So it just goes to show he can take any lame ass character and make it.
Well, but between Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning, and him, they made Guardians of the Galaxy a household name.
Right. Yeah, the age of the character. I mean, you can look if you look back at the golden age of comics, because Marvel isn't really a Marvel until the Silver Age.
No.
If you look back at the golden age of comics, there's I literally have a book. I have 2 copies because I gave one to my son. It's the League of Regrettable Heroes or something like that. And it's really just a book showing all these forgotten characters that you've never heard of that are just really fucking stupid and like bad ideas. How did this happen? They actually made this. Oh my God, what the hell? Kind of characters. And DC, is the one publisher that kind of not only survived with a lot of those characters, but like you said, they scooped up a lot of them along the way from other publishers that died.
Right.
And Marvel, basically Marvel has the benefit of coming along in the Silver Age and going, let's not do that.
Yeah. So like they've always been more scattershot just by the nature of how they came together as a company. And so like you're never gonna have that cohesion that a Marvel does, where they're as Bob beat me to it. There's no Stan Lee that put everything together early on.
It's Condiment King, and he is a regular character on like Harley Quinn and I imagine on Kite Man. He's been on there, but no, like, and I mean, actually, the Marvel's been around just as long, by the way, as DC in terms of
different names.
Under different names. Well, DC will have a different name too.
Yeah,
but like, the difference is that Marvel did kind of leave that era, that golden age era, because they didn't really have any golden heroes the way the DC did. None of those, characters except from Human Torch a little bit and Namor, and then you see how they did get carried over. But other than that, they had a lot of forgettable shit, and they didn't prioritize maintaining that. Whereas like the DC has, that's what the Justice Society is, right?
Right.
It's them holding on to that period of like, well, we got to respect these that came first, kind of thing.
Well, and I think they've done better and worse takes on the Justice Society before.
True.
And I like the concept of the Justice Society as like this like statesman group of senior superheroes. But yeah, back in the day in the 50s when Captain Marvel outsold Superman, and now they own Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
But in between,
that's actually how I referred to them in my tweet, by the way, Bob.
Yeah. It's real classy. Stan Lee was a class act for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see it as much anymore because the divide is much more along the lines of woke and anti-woke, but you still see it sometimes. Like people that are like, whoa, DC versus Marvel and stuff. It's like, that's a really dumb, like anybody that's actually engaging in tribalism over that is doing something that DC and Marvel really never did.
Right. I mean,
like they respect each other. They recognize the need for one another in order to, compete and get better. That's one reason why, even if you don't want to like DC or whatever, like you should hope DC does better in terms of filmmaking, because then Marvel ideally will do better in terms of filmmaking.
Yeah, and I also think that like if you look at the history of the industry, these are two companies that share a pool of writers and artists. Now, they could stand to pay them better and give them better film rights and better adaptation rights, but it's not like they're hoarding resources. Like writers go back and forth between the two, and there is some amount of not cooperation, but sort of industrial cohesion that goes on.
True, Avenger. I would trade it. I would.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of it is that like I think there is something more we're all in on the joke with that like, because definitely back in the day I was much more a DC person than a Marvel person, like much more. Like I didn't really like Civil War when I started reading comics. Spider-Man was in an awful place. But like you had a really good run on Action Comics and a really good run on Batman, and really good run on Green Lantern, pretty good Justice League and Justice Society books. And that was, like, oh yeah, I like DC more, but it was like never this like I hate Marvel. It's just like, nah, I just think Civil War's kind of mid. More like at the same time Civil War was coming out, DC was doing 52, which seemed a lot more experimental and cash grabby, to be fair, because they got you to buy a comic every week for a year, which is why they kept trying to do that for the next couple of years afterwards to bad results, because they just didn't have the creativity behind it. But like when I started comics, it felt like DC was being more experimental and Marvel was more just sort of doing the same old. That would be the dream, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's important to remember the creators of comics are not the ones that prevent that kind of thing from happening in comics.
No.
They would jump at it.
Yeah, I think
it's the corporations.
It's the corporations, right? I think the writers would be, if in a world where Suits didn't make all the decisions, if I'm going to use her as an example, because she's written for both and she's written a lot of good books for both. But if Gail Simone was like, I would like to use this DC villain in her new X-Men book, I'd be like, let her cook, let it happen, make it happen.
Yeah, we've talked about that, or I've talked about it recently. How the DC New 52 kind of went bad pretty quickly because they didn't have they didn't really think it through.
52 books is a lot.
52 books is a lot, and it's a lot. That means a lot of creative teams to keep on the same page, especially considering you don't have answers to what they're going to be asking. Like, oh, is this canon? Because these characters have only existed for 5 years now in continuity. So what does that mean? What do I have access to? What has happened? And they didn't actually kind of think about that ahead of time. And so you ended up with a lot of contradicting stuff.
It was rife with that. Like, I think the good books out of the New 52 were either the ones that didn't really change, like Green Lantern and Batman, right? Those just like continued on from where they were. And then the ones that were kind of experimental, like Action Comics, where it was like back to like working class Superman.
T-shirt and jeans Superman.
T-shirt and jeans Superman. And I forget the name of the book, but it was like, it was set in like medieval England, and it was like a team of superpowered characters, but it was like Vandal Savage as a barbarian and this archer who couldn't get off her horse.
Oh.
And like Etrigan as like this like medieval fantasy superhero team. Demon Knights. Yes, thank you, Avenger. Like, it wasn't the best book, but it was weird and different.
I mean, more recently, Tom Taylor has done Dark Knights of Steel.
Yeah,
which is a medieval thing, and I read both volumes of that. It's pretty cool.
Oh, okay. I've been avoiding the Dark Knights stuff because that whole.
I mean, I was avoiding it too. Then I read what it's about, and I realized, oh, this is just another example of them putting Batman-centric branding on something because Batman is the seller. But it really isn't any. I mean, it's about as much as anything else, Batman and Superman. But in this story, it's basically the DC universe. During medieval times.
Sure. Okay.
And Batman, the Wayne family is they're kings, the king and queen. Wayne is prince. And then you just it's.
I'll check it out.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of neat.
But yeah, I think the like a lot of the rest of the books that were not particularly experimental or continuing their stories from before just kind of fell apart. Justice League Dark was another good one.
They were going through the motions, it seemed like. It was just like, oh,
Yeah.
we got to have a book about this. DC, hopefully they've learned to just kind of let go of this whole 52 thing that they were obsessed with. But
Well, that was because of they did 52, which was that weekly series they did for a year, where it was the year without Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. After,
Countdown, right? It was like,
no, Countdown came after that.
oh,
So you had Infinite Crisis,
mhm.
and at the end of that, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman disappeared. And then all of the ongoings were set 1 year after that, when those characters returned. And then they came out with a book called 52, which was the year without Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And it was a weekly series. And it just sort of went through with like The Question and Ralph Dibny and Black Adam as sort of going through what is the world like in the aftermath of Infinite Crisis as things are rebuilding. Yeah, Countdown was that was the leading up to Final Crisis, but they didn't really work with Grant Morrison on that one. I've heard the story told a few different ways as to like who is responsible. I'm just going to presume everyone, because DC editorial is historically not great on tie-ins, and Grant Morrison's a weirdo. So, and I love them. They're great, but they're a weirdo. They march to the beat of their own drum.
Final Crisis was, I'll try and read it a third time, maybe sometime soon. It's like the first time I rejected it outright, because I was definitely rejecting just most Grant Morrison stuff back then. The second time I was like, okay, I kind of see maybe where this is supposed to be going, or what I'm supposed to take from this, but I don't know, struggle to connect with it. And then Superman sings.
And then Superman sings Dark Side to Death. I loved it. I fucking loved it. Because it's so fucking weird. But like, it has so many cool moments, and it makes Darkseid just this like eldritch horror in a way he hadn't been done before.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed how like it set up and referenced different things. It's one of those things, kind of like the Krakoan era sort of drew from all of the like obscure X-Men trivia. I felt like Final Crisis was like, I don't know what this is referencing, so I'm gonna have to look it up.
Oh, see, okay, see, I see why you're so mistaken here. Blood Video is like you're seeing all of these as reboot events, and that's really not what they all are.
So Crisis on Infinite Earths is, and Flashpoint is,
but like everything else is like a shuffling of certain elements into continuity.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bob actually called Rebirth. He said earlier there hasn't been in one since Rebirth. Rebirth, they kind of did the right thing, at least in terms of like they didn't do it all at once. Rebirth began an era of like essentially kind of like, let's change this a little bit and make, they didn't do it all at once, thankfully. And I think that's where the whole thing with like Superman energy came from, right? Because the New 52 Superman kind of sacrificed himself or whatever.
That's right. He's been replaced by the Earth 1 Superman.
I think it's the original. Is it Earth 1 the original?
Earth 1 is the post-Infinite Crisis Superman, I think.
Okay.
I think?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Yeah, because then there was Earth 2, which I did read all the way through. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's, and that's what, by the way, if you aren't familiar, I don't know if you were on or watched when I talked about it. The Absolute Universe is going to be made of, so the DC Universe as we know it is comprised of Superman energy.
Right.
This Absolute Universe is going to be Darkseid energy.
Okay.
So that's why, they're all kind of edgy.
Everything's edgy is because it's all anti-life.
But, I've kind of defended it in theory because people are, it's going to be like edgy version. It's like, yeah, but it's Jason Aaron doing Superman, dude. like he does edgy well.
Wow,
like,
yeah.
he knows how to do it when it's like not just a pizza cutter. All
Well, right.
Yeah, no point.
Like, okay, you can say it's edgy and it looks edgy, but you can't tell me that a comic universe with the premise of some universes are built on Superman energy and some are built on Darkseid energy. Something so incredibly dorky can't be all edge.
That's purely comic book dorkiness. And like, and this, and what it does though is it sets up. It kind of seems to be addressing some of the, probably I don't want to say criticisms, but like the things that I struggled to sync up with DC, and then what I think general audiences sometimes do, which is the characters being too godlike and perfect. So you got a Batman who's not, son of a billionaire. He's a city engineer, so he probably makes pretty good money.
Right.
But he's not fucking mega rich. But he is like 7 foot tall and like 250
pounds. He's one of those Michael Phelpsian freaks of nature we were talking about earlier.
And then Superman is, so basically like what they all have in common, if you've read the kind of a premise of it, is that they all have to work a little bit harder to win the favor of the public.
Right.
And what their counterparts have. And there's more of a resistance to superheroes. Not everybody's just not ready to accept them. And so, Superman doesn't have a fortress of solitude, so doesn't have a family. He's just kind of doing it on his own. And there's some potential for good stories there. I really liked, as much as I hate to say this, because Shane Davis, fucking Comicsgate shitbag, drew it. Earth, was it Earth 1? Or what was it? Yeah, I think that's what it's called, Earth 1.
Yeah.
Superman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which all those that I read were good.
Weren't bad. No, I read Superman and I read Green Lantern.
Yep, those are Green Lantern was cool because it's just like hard sci-fi almost.
Yeah, it was definitely a more like a hard sci-fi take on Green Lantern, which I thought was really interesting.
And and then Wonder Woman was Grant Morrison. That was good. And then freaking Batman was Jeff Johns. He can be really good or really meh.
Yeah, Jeff Johns is a writer that, as I've refined my comics palette, is not as good as I remember.
No, we're not talking about Isom. We're talking
about sorry.
Superman energy kind of comes from the Doomsday Clock story. Superman is kind of an anchor. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to reread that.
It's not shaking my dorky critique.
No, that's not.
That's not shaking my dorky analysis. Sorry.
I don't know if you were trying to shake the dorky accusation, but you're not.
You're not.
You're not helping.
Anything from Doomsday Clock is dorky as fuck. Sorry.
I mean, look, Jeff Johns, I think is. I'm actually really excited to see. I've been reading Rook. It's on issue number 4. I haven't read that one yet, but it's the first 3 issues. It's really good. It's well written comic. I don't think the guy is bad at writing comics in general. It's just, is he going to do something with the familiar characters that we know that you're going to approve of or not? Is really what it boils down to.
Yeah, I think sometimes my problem with Jeff Johns is that he's not as clever as he thinks he is.
Yeah, I guess I never really gotten that from him. Maybe that he thinks he's especially clever, but I mean, maybe if I really paid attention to it from that angle.
I think for me, when I first noticed me having that thought was just some of the stuff.
I take it back. Because Doomsday Clock is the thing where he is trying to appeal a little bit to some of the vibes that Alan Moore convey with like some of the stuff, and it's like it's just not working, man. Like, what are you doing this for?
Stop it.
Yeah.
You're not Alan Moore. Nobody's Alan Moore. Not even Alan Moore is Alan Moore.
Do you even worship a snake god, bro? Like...
Right. Are you a practicing magician? No, I thought not. Yeah, how's your chaos magic skill, Jeff?
That is one of the cool things about, Marvel has some of this, DC has this. Taking the meta reality of the publishing history and folding it into the in continuity narrative. That kind of stuff is dorky as fuck, but I do like it.
It's like in the Final Crisis Superman book, where like that's where they introduced the President Superman, who's inspired by Barack Obama. But also, it's like, oh yeah, in some universes, Captain Marvel is the Superman because they're just the same guy.
Mm-hmm. That
It's
makes
like, your
sense.
universe is weird for having both of us.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's kind of like, yeah, approaching it from that perspective of like, instead of thinking about what would be weird compared to our universe, it's
Mhm.
more like, how would this be weird to another universe, right? Which is pretty cool, and that's why we love Grant Morrison.
One of my favorite Grant Morrison books is Multiversity. It's an anthology.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah, every part of it takes place in a different version of the DC universe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this meta narrative about these whiny fan old gods trying to meddle in universes. It's very bizarre, and I love it. And also, it's how we should think of Chuds. They're just like eldritch horrors from beyond our reality. Like they're just disconnected from the laws of physics and rationality.
It's true. It's true, all of it.
Thanks, Han.
The Force, the Jedi. But actually, you know what though? I don't know if you guys have seen some of this. I've got a green screen, and I should have prepared something. Actually, no, I did, but it's not. It wouldn't. Okay, hold on a second. I've got a green screen here that I haven't done anything with yet, really, that would be worth showing. But it's not. Who cares? Ignore the green screen aspect. That's not what matters. What matters is, let me find it. It's Harrison Ford, who seems to be, brace yourselves, enjoying doing press and talking about the MCU.
What?
He seems to like. He doesn't hate it. I know. Check this out.
I've always treated these questions with the utmost respect and somehow at the same time complete disdain. I will not answer that stupid question. But thank you.
Yeah, no.
So that's actually him, I think, being jovial, and that's his version of like being playful, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's weird because, like, famously, historically, this guy hates doing press, especially on these fucking geeky ass movies.
I think it was just Star Wars in particular.
Well, even Indiana Jones, he's like, some of his pressers have been that, you know.
Okay. Man, he's always been kind of a moody guy, huh? Like,
Yeah,
you
he's
think
kind
about
of a grumpy Gus.
You think about it, how he did the narration, the voiceover, whenever they had him go back in and do that for Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, I was a Blade Runner. He's fucking half asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did a Hulk out on stage.
What?
He did some Hulk out moves. Let me see if I can find a clip of that shit. Because, yeah.
Shut the
blew my
fuck
mind.
up.
I mean, for one thing, I guess, like he's not trying to hide what is really kind of obvious to anybody that knows, but he's confirming, seemingly. I wonder if Marvel was okay with him doing that. I wonder if they're like, God damn it, we're trying not to reveal that.
Okay, but we all know it's him, so.
But casual audiences wouldn't.
That's true. But I guess him doing Hulk out moves, like, if you don't know,
then
it's just Harrison Ford being a dork, which is weird.
It is weird.
But it's weird regardless of whether or not his character is secretly the Red Hulk.
Oh, God. Yep. Oof. Wow. Make sure I got a good angle of it.
The problem with an old Bruce Wayne is that will never replace Kevin Conroy in my heart. So.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was that?
Someone was mentioning that Harrison Ford reminds them of old man Bruce Wayne from Batman Beyond, and it reminds me that Kevin Conroy is dead, and it makes me sad.
Huh. Yeah, I can see that. don't know why my downloader isn't downloading. God damn it!
President Solo. Does that
I mean, I
mean
really hope
Chewie's the VP? Batman Beyond was better than it had any right to be.
All right, here we go.
Okay. All right.
They're giving drugs? It's amazing.
I've been watching all these terrific actors have a great. Oh, Mackey's in the house. Does not like to go unnoticed. I've been watching these actors have really good time playing these characters, and I thought I want a piece of that.
I thought I'd like to have a good time sometime.
Right,
Never
can I
tried
have
that
a good-
before.
I have not tried to have fun.
You know,
once in
I'm
my
getting
life.
older, not getting any younger. Maybe I'll
I'm
try
not-
and have a
yeah.
good time.
I might be middle aged. Because I mean,
Is it just is it really, could it just be the amount of money that they probably have given him? Or
no, I like because he's had more money than God forever, right? Like, because
no, it's fucking great.
Yeah, he like clearly he heard from some of his buddies that this was a good time,
Mm-hmm.
and
Look at that
so
face. I gotta take a screenshot of that face. I'm sorry.
go for it, boss. But like, and have you seen Deadpool yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay, all right, then I'm not gonna.
I mean, I know a
anything.
good bit about it. I don't know that I'm even there's anything left that could be spoiled for me. But
Okay, well, I'm not gonna try because I was asked politely not to by you. So, but I think there's a reason that they've been able to retain talent the way they have. Because I think there is something about these productions that is enjoyable to the people working on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, how have they not gotten Mark Hamill for the MCU? How?
Maybe they're just saving it for the right thing. I don't know what it would be, but like, I mean, nothing. I can't think of what they've had so far that I would think that's the Mark Hamill role. I would need some time to think on that, I think.
Oh yeah, because the thing is, like, Mark Hamill, like, we all know he's the Joker, but like he can play a serious villain too.
Sure, yeah. I mean, the cock knocker. Everybody,
that famous serious drama villain, cock knocker.
Yeah. God, I remember that. It was like, I mean, I was like 19 years old or something when that movie came out, and it was like, oh my God, my childhood has reached my adulthood now. You know, he's because I was big into Kevin Smith movies at the time. It was like,
right.
Oh, Mark Hamill is going to be cock knocker. That's great.
Okay, I've got a wild card villain for Mark Hamill to play. Okay, but this is like my dream Marvel movie series, right? Like a whole like phase of Marvel movies. If we're gonna do a bunch of X-Men movies, well, we need X-Men villains. And so you could cast Mark Hamill as Orbis Stellaris, Dr. Stasis, and Mr. Sinister.
Okay, that's yeah. I mean, look, my mind went to like literally like I could see it is Arcade.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Maybe not the most substantial villain to use them for, but still, like you can see what I see, right? Like
I see it, yeah. Oh, Hamill is Reverend Stryker. If they were to do Reverend Stryker,
I doubt they do. Something tells me they're going to maybe avoid that.
But imagine if they had the fortitude to do Reverend Stryker.
I guess they could do Stryker if they also had Nightcrawler play a prominent role, and they had him being like the good one, right? Like
you need you need Nightcrawler in a way you didn't have him in X-Men 2. You need him to be a front and center X-Men, and his
more like how he was in actual book. God loves me.
in the actual book, yeah. Like
I
he's
think he
more
actually
like
says a couple of pretty like substantial things to Stryker there at the end.
right. So like you would need that kind of Nightcrawler.
Well, I mean, look,
But also they should do that. They should do that.
because then you can do this goddamn meme. The infamous panel.
Yeah.
Oh, you call that thing human? Yeah, they really should. It's not as controversial as I was thinking when you put it in that context.
Yeah. No, I think they should. And I think that's even a good way. Like if you want to introduce
However,
the X-Men,
that might be seen as Catholic versus Protestant, though.
I don't care.
I mean, I don't care. I know you don't care, but I'm saying, the people that do care about such things.
They were going to have a problem with it regardless. Like if you had a movie where part of Nightcrawler's character is that he's a devout Catholic, even if Reverend Stryker wasn't the villain and there was no religious overtones to the villain, they would still have a problem with it. They were already going to be upset. And we've seen that Marvel and Lucasfilm under Disney are no longer afraid to use these morons as marketing.
True. That is a
Why
good
not?
point, Bob.
Yeah.
As usual.
So yeah, I think that's and I would like them to like my desire for X-Men, for mutants in the MCU, is that they are somehow different than the other superheroes we've seen. And I don't know that we'll get that.
Yeah. Anti-idiotic, I don't even know who that is, man. I mean, I said Marvel is desperate. I mean, of course, it's a loaded word. I don't think they're like literally desperate. Like if they don't do certain things, they're going to die or something. But like they want to get back to where they were in terms of respect, and, broad appeal and butts and seats. And they maybe, probably the shareholders are desperate for that.
Yeah.
So they made the choice they made. But which I do have an updated feeling about it. And I don't know if I shared it on Twitter. I just so when it comes to this, not knowing anything about the Doom situation, we know nothing. It almost is we know negative nothing. Like we know negative anything.
Right.
That makes it more frustrating than if I'm gonna be open to what they're cooking up. Maybe it's something amazing. But in the meantime, my thoughts are represented here.
Because I've had enough of this dude. Just kind of ran out of the frame. Well,
I like not knowing anything. I just can't bring myself to have strong feelings. I'm just like, they have something like they have something up their sleeve. Like, you don't waste that reveal at a Comic-Con if you don't have something up your sleeve.
Yeah.
But like, I don't, until I know what that is, I'm not going to bother forming an opinion. My opinion, here's my one opinion. This is the one singular Morgan opinion on an MCU Doctor Doom. He doesn't take off the fucking mask.
We revolt. We will revolt.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one thing you have to do. Mask
and
off.
If he does, I showed on the stream the other day what he should look like if he does,
right.
And only in certain moments should he do that. And that's when he's saying, I am a god. I am God Emperor Doom, and yet I cannot fix my own face. Look at this mess. Please don't. Anti-idiotic. Please don't. I've never heard of that person. I think I've even said this to you before, man. But like, I don't just cover anybody who says a thing. I need to organically come across somebody, or a couple of times, really, at least twice. And I think the rest of the guys in the initiative kind of do it that way, more or less. Like, if I would cover just everybody that somebody sends a video of, I don't know, we'd be covering people that are far smaller than my channel that would be doing them a favor and doing me no favors because nobody knows who they are.
Right.
They're because there's yep. And because they're smaller channels, they don't have any impact on discourse or anything. A lot of times they're just kind of repeating something. Typically when somebody sees it, typically when somebody says something like this, they've watched a video and that person has said something that really upset them, or pissed them off, rubbed them the wrong way, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to get actual fandom to respond to that." No, you're not. Not going to do it.
And that's what they want. Like they want a bigger channel to cover them. That's why they're trying to upset you. And what you should do is fuck the dumb shit. Praise Bill.
See, we go after the bigger guys because we go after the culture of it. Like, if we want to show that even especially the most popular guys, the successful ones, are full of shit. And then you can just assume that top down, generally they are. Anyway, I want to finish this off.
Okay.
And the lightning.
That's Harrison Ford. Tell Tom Holland I got Harrison Ford.
Put a bunch of fucking dorks.
He's having way too much fun. Like,
he is.
So I saw something from what's his name? He works for Frosty Weintraub. He works for Collider, I think.
Sure.
He does a lot of interviews with actors and stuff for junkets and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that Anthony Mackie is like the worst actor he's ever done junkets for. Like, he's actually just like a huge douchebag. And it's like, I don't like to hear that. I hope it's not true because, like,
I hope not.
You want your Captain America to just be kind of a cool guy in real life.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe just those two don't get along.
Could be.
They seem to be having fun up there, and that's kind of what matters. Like,
what do you think it is that Marvel does so differently that makes, seems to make people happy, the actors and stuff, besides the money? I mean,
I don't even know that the money is that good comparatively. From some of the things we've heard about some of the, and maybe it's changed over time, but like, there's definitely been some discussions about how much the actors are paid versus how much the movies make. I wonder if there's just, and I think this is one of the things that like the MCU as a comic book movie universe does that we've seen, the Foxmen and DC struggle with, is that it's so earnest. There's something that like that earnest comics nature of it just makes it a different sort of beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Bob. But
so real quick, Anti-Idiotic. Yeah, it is a large channel.
Oh wow, look at them go.
So I was just surprised I hadn't heard of him because he doesn't come off like a typical Chud, but like, so this tells me a good bit right here. What is sad about his situation? That he even took the time to speak to Sneeko is kind of sad, I suppose.
Yeah,
I'm wondering, is that what this person is saying? I don't know. I don't know if you're aware of any of that stuff, but we talked about it on Wednesday, and Charlie, is getting a lot of hate for not being a transphobe.
Right. Yeah, I listened to Fridays or Wednesdays Shillcast, and
so here's what I'll say about this guy. Based on just this little preview in the thumbnail here, I don't like his energy. That's just. Also, I don't like the way he titles his videos. Several of them, I have no idea what they're about.
Yeah.
Which could be a combination of like he's talking about things that I'm not interested in, and then he's also just like titling them in ways that are not clear because it's kind of clickbaity. But I will say that if you look at my subscriptions, not on this channel, but on my personal channel, which I'm not going to show you, but there are channels that I like a lot and have liked for years that are good channels that are kind of saying the same thing as this one. You know, like I think it was it Captain Midnight has one. Who else? But I mean, Captain Midnight, like he's generally pretty good natured and good faith and positive on stuff, and he's just like, okay, but what's the point? You know. And that's what leads you to, I think, is to think that must be like a desperation thing. There's a move they made. Maybe they had decided a long time ago that Downey was going to do this or whatever, and they have something in mind. Sure, maybe. But the decision to reveal it the way they did, when they did, seems like it was kind of decided last minute.
Yeah, I guess my thought is litigating it over and over and over again is just like...
Yeah. Well,
especially because this movie's coming out in, what, 3 years?
Yep. We got plenty of time. Let's check out real quick. Let's just watch this short and see if we can spot Chud or no Chud. Is this fucking guy Chud? All right. So, stupidest donation ever.
Get heckled and stuff, definitely.
You lied about what I said.
I knew he was a Brit bonger. I could fucking tell. All right.
You petrified of your chat, which makes you complicit. You downplay subscription service enslavement. Do you think minors should be sold subscription services to hormones? Yes or no?
Why are you doing a sneako here? I've literally just spent like an hour explaining how bad it is to be funneled into a yes or no question, and now you said, do you think minors should be sold subscription service to hormones? Like, you're making it out that they go door to door, and it's like, oh, here's some hormones, you should take them. You should change from a boy to a girl. Someone said rent-free. Do you think minors should be sold? Okay, Austin, I do think minors should be sold subscription services for hormones, but only if you go door to door and give it to all of them. There you go.
But something if I don't talk.
It's just like the most narrow, the most like holy gotcha moment.
Something fast.
I mean, I still can't exactly tell what his position is, but that is better than I expected.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's all right, guy.
Let's see. Oh, worker situation. That'll tell us quite a bit, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
What was I looking for, guys? Oh, the Sheen workers, the factory. The Sheen workers being killed. Yeah, hang on.
All right, he's officially cringe.
Yeah, I mean,
but not in a good way.
If he cares about this at all, that is not something to laugh that hysterically at.
Yeah, I just really don't. I have no strong feelings on this person other than he's kind of cringe, and I would like to be doing something else.
I mean, really, I don't think he's a chud, at least in any kind of traditional sense that we've experienced. He may have some really stupid takes, but
he seems like
the way he answered that one chat about like being funneled into a yes or no question. That's literally like half of what chuds do on YouTube.
Yeah, it's like that's a genuinely good answer. I just like, yeah, the guy's whatever. I don't know. He's a dork on the internet.
Yep. Yeah, maybe I'll look into it and see what else I can find out about the guy, because it is kind of fascinating that he's got over 1 million subs and I've never fucking heard of him once.
I've never. I mean, it looks like he's a Zoomer video game streamer. That might be why.
Yeah, seems that way.
Pop up his Twitter.
Yeah, that's usually the way to go. That or his Reddit.
Who's he following? Or you've got some people who follow him. He's followed by Dead Domain.
And he seems to be coming up kind of fast. He just hit 1 million in April.
Yeah. Go see who he's following.
Okay. The tweets are telling very little so far.
Very little.
Keep in mind, I do have Shinigami eyes, so any real concern would be red.
Yeah, nobody I even recognize.
Seeing far more green names than I have
Yeah.
red. So, and lots of lots of pronouns in bio.
Mm-hmm. Lots of young people.
Which is actually based and pretty cool, and everybody should put their pronouns in bio.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to.
If you want to. If you feel comfortable doing it.
Okay, so I mean, that's as follows. That's it.
Yeah. See who followers you know.
I mean, 1 million subscribers is probably good.
No, but followers you know.
Oh yeah, Dirk. I didn't see that. Okay, Dead Domain.
Yeah, Caffles, Right Wing Cope, Quartering Cringe Comp, Xander Hall, Vosh. Oh well, you know.
I was thinking about that being what I thought about making that the show tonight. Was like, what the fuck is going on with Xander Hall, Vosh, Keffels, and like, I don't know. I just see the content about it, and I'm seeing that like Demon Mama did a fucking Xander Hall nuke part 2 actually.
Oh wow.
2-part nuking of Xander Hall. I don't know anything about any of that. Somebody got a very brief version of that they can explain.
Otherwise, I might have to watch a Demon Mama drama video, and I like Demon Mama, but sometimes the internet personality drama video is just not my jam.
With Keffels, what seems to have happened is that she raised a lot of money whenever she went through the Kiwi Farm stuff, and has not really spent the money on the things that, to some degree, these are allegations. I don't know anything. I don't have any proof either way. But yeah, that basically she didn't spend she spent money on stuff like, drugs, because as is very known now, she went through addiction crisis and stuff. So like, of course, she spent some money on drugs.
Right.
But I don't know to what degree those transgressions. But I mean, Demon Mama did a stream about that too. I only caught a little bit of it. Xander Hall has always made me, I'll be honest, and I'm not doing this like, oh, people are going after him, I might as well say this now. But like I've said before, I've got my issues with the guy. It's never been anything that I feel like was worth getting into, because he overall does advocate for good positions and good ideas. It's, but something about him has always been kind of like, I just kind of written it off to like, yeah, he's younger than me, like there's this age gap. Maybe that's why. Anyway, but insane. I mean, there was a public breakup with him and somebody a couple of years ago or some shit.
Yeah.
They both seem to be saying the other one was crazy, and it's like that. Oh, well, that sounds like just about every breakup. So
that's a breakup. Yeah, that's. I don't know what to tell you. One or both are going to call the other crazy.
Anyway, I just hope that all those people are gonna do okay, and then get better, and don't do content for drama's sake. I definitely think all of the people named there. Well, I don't know about Demon Mama. I can't say for sure. I don't watch her regularly enough, but all the other ones, they did get pulled into this streamer brained lane.
Yeah.
Where like, I don't know. I just saw that they had each of them handle things at various points. That's like, why are you handling it this way? Oh yeah, because you're a streamer.
Right.
When you could be doing it a much more efficient way, less drama focused way, a way that doesn't involve two, large fan groups fucking going at each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially when we should be focused on things that are actually important. But
yeah, whenever it's a streamer fight, they always fight like the most bitchy high school kids, and I just I will my policy is to unsubscribe when they do it. And if I see something like a clip shared or a video shared with me where they have redeemed themselves in my eyes, I will consider resubscribing. But generally, like, I just have zero tolerance for that. I can get my news without your bullshit. Thank you very much.
I could see that. I could see that being cause for some backlash. But also, yeah, this too. Because Vosh does that too. Vosh just has the rhetorical ability to not be obvious about it, usually.
Yeah.
When he's talking about something he doesn't know about. Xander Hall doesn't really. And so I can usually tell. They're like, oh, you're just saying a thing because, yeah, it's in the discourse. Anyways.
That's why we try and cover things we know about. And it's just like, oh, yeah, comment on this thing blandly. Like, no. Sorry, I got nothing for you.
McLeod, I'd say that he did pre-tax folder. I've checked in a few times now, and he seems to be very intentionally just being a good boy. You know, like he's started doing debates about. Like I haven't seen him say anything objectionable. I've seen it from his chat, sure, but like he fostered that 100%.
Yeah.
But I think he
we're the ones
recognized
who bully our chat.
I think he's lost quite a few subs and whatnot too, but like he got bit pretty hard, and I think he recognized that he's got to fucking be a lot more careful if he wants to have any kind of streaming career ahead of him.
He has to manage his brand better.
Mm-hmm. You know, he's got to move different, like as Eric July says.
Indeed.
Anyways, let's get out of here.
It's been 3 hours. Yeah, let's go. I gotta go see Deadpool and Wolverine again tomorrow. So.
God damn. Yeah, I need to go see it tomorrow. Actually.
Yes, you do, because I want to talk to you about it, and I can't until you've seen it.
I'm sorry. I suck.
No, you have responsibilities. That's not sucking. I will get the Nerf gun, young man.
Okay. Well, oh shit. don't get the Nerf gun. But also you guys should like subscribe. That's all those words. You know what I meant to say? Just pretend I said
the bell. Check patreon.com/actualfandom. And if you hated it, downvote it. If you want to ring Dane's bell, ring the bell.
Ring it. Ring-a-ling ding ding. Oh, you know what we need to do? Shit. Sunday.
Sunday.
Do you know what's going to happen Sunday? Any of you? Are any of you fucking prepared for this?
Are you ready? Because this has been a FAP. This might be the true original FAP.
It's a long time coming. It's pretty obvious. It's a long time coming, and there's going to be a lot of puns like that.
It's really built up.
It gets backed up like beyond belief. It's kind of swollen at this point. Like really, we need to get this off. We need to fire off this. Also, we're going to shoot fat ropes. Wait, that's just saying it. That's not.
You're just saying it now.
The No Fap movement. It's a very special episode. What's up?
Very special episode.
I'll say this: the research I've done, they seem to be 350,000 strong in numbers. So like, that can't be nothing, right? Maybe there's something to not fapping. They say it's good for health. They say it's good for mental health. They say that fapping actually is deleterious to your mental health. That's not a good thing. If that's true, we'll look into all that.
Julia, God damn it, Julia.
Well, Julia showed up at the very end for
very end for the kill shot.
Yep. So get ready to choke that chicken, flog that bishop, flick that bean, spank the monkey, whatever it is you want to do, or don't do. If you don't do it, don't do it. But we're going to talk about the differences between the doing it and the not doing it. Going to go a little bit into the history of the not doing it and the people that have advocated for not fucking doing it.
Right.
It's the Christians again. Spoiler. Anyway, have a good one. Here's some weirdness.
Weird. Problem is they are a weird political party.
M&Ms will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing, until the moment you wouldn't want to have a drink with any one of them.
Weird. Weird.
Q is a patriot.
QAnon believers lined up on the grassy knoll. It's the site of the JFK assassination. They believed that the president's late son, JFK Jr., would miraculously appear and that he would help Donald Trump take back power. Weird. Weird.
See you later.
Weird. Weird.
We voting Donald Trump, baby. America needs saving. America needs saving. We voting Trump, baby. November 5th, we going crazy. November 5th, we going crazy. Red pill poppin', swerving in the Trump. Republican 4G, Antifa knows what's up. Red, white, and blue, mega nation, throw it up. Black, white, and brown, all that over Trump. Democrat party gon' take your freedom.
Weird. Weird.
Crazy Cat said, Eric, what are the plans for the Rippaverse when Daddy Glenn shuts the money hose off because of diminishing returns?
Give me the damn money, Glenn.
But if Glenn wants to give me the money, I'll take it.
We need the Glenn bucks.
Well, yeah, give us the Glenn bucks,
Come on.
man. Damn, where?
She's a former Padawan who could put out sustained fires in the vacuum of space. Sustained fires in the vacuum of space. Sustained fires in the vacuum of space. Fires in the vacuum of space.
You can pick up the softback trade paper.
The what now? The fucking what?